Post.
No, bro, I was gonna bring it up. I was gonna talk about it with you. Let's see. We're live, guys. Thank you for joining. If you're already here, we're testing a few audios. I know you might be getting some feedback. We might just have to switch to one. I'm gonna check that right now because I'm not sure. Talking your mic real quick.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I'm getting feedback off that one. So to cut that out.
What did you mess with before? Was it something you turned down?
I'm trying to think if I could mess with the audio levels, and you just have to be really close. It's a crappy mic, honestly. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do this. Lefty loosey, righty tighty.
What are you doing?
We're gonna share one. You can unplug that actually.
From the back?
So we're gonna go one mic, guys. Sorry for the delay. But this is gonna sound better. It's gonna have better quality for both. We just gotta remember whoever's talking is gonna be in control of the mic. And we'll swing it back and forth and we'll have fun. Try not to knock me out though. So that's good. Get your laptop real quick. Just make sure it don't fall.
Chase Heinrich said, "About
Chase.
time you nerds got on."
Hey man, what time is it now? Are we late? Oh, we're 7 minutes late, huh? I'm sorry.
You gotta get him on here soon, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get Chase on here.
Well over a decade now.
Man, it's been actually it's funny because Chase, I've ran into you a couple times when you were
Oh well, I did. I think I ran into him at a Publix.
in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was either I think you were working
Jesus
for Sprint
Cortez
when I was working for AO.
said, "Where's the intro song?" Chase Heinrich said,
Jesus. Intro
"Keys
song.
to success. Don't be late."
Spot on with that. That's for sure.
We are live. I'm trying, honestly, the intro song he's talking about is I'm going to get everybody to record "We Are Live," like have them say it in their certain way, and I'm going to mush them all together, and it's going to be like, "We are live, we are live, we are live, we are," and then I'm coming in like, "We are live."
Jesus Cortez said, "Dustin put some shoes on."
See those crustaceans on film?
How you going to call me out like that? Actually, where my shoes at for real? I'm going to set up, I got one more camera angle, I'm going to get this.
Can I catch both of them?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
move it like that too when you're talking. It'll get me when I'm talking. Let us know if the audio needs work. We a one man band over here, guys. Like that one failed. That audio failed on that one. I'm kind of disappointed because the end goal. We're gonna have 2 of these bad boys right here, and we'll be perfect. It'll be so nice.
Dahlia Garcia said,
Oh, here we go.
"Who's the cutie on the right?" Mike said, "Your sign is out of level."
Oh,
Is what? No, it's yeah. Oh, that bothered me too. No, that's still not. One more. I think right there, right?
that's the best we're gonna do. But it's not. It's like
Maybe the
it's my
couch.
camera.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I honestly it was perfect leveled before. It's my camera is
Yeah, it is tilted.
tilted. You guys are distracting me. Give me 1 second. Boom.
Mike said, "Maybe it's the lumpy casting couch." Dahlia Garcia
Also true.
said, "Nah, it's you."
Hey, you about to get banned real quick. Nah, just kidding.
That's a 2-for-1. Dan and me live.
You're gonna sit up a lot.
Probably not. You're overthinking. What's your good side?
Oh, it's you.
Mike said, "Crack kills."
Hey.
Some things never change. I think he's gonna get TOS for that. Live on Twitch too, right?
Yeah.
Crack TOS.
Ah. I had it right before, but you set up. All right, all right, all right, all right. Like, get out of here. Shoes? How about this? I'm gonna put some socks on. Bing.
Is there a way for you to zoom in or like make the
Chase Heinrich said, "This is a riveting episode. Top notch." Dahlia Garcia
Hey,
said,
it's
"I'm bored already."
This is definitely true success, that's for sure.
we have to start somewhere, guys. And I put on the Donkey Kong socks now, boys. Ah, them calves though. All right, so boys already out of breath. Just took 2 steps. Jeez, God. All right. Anyway, so mind you, this episode is a little crazy. It's been a crazy week, and my kids are in the other room. Might have to go break up a fight. That's just the honest truth. But I will put Gage in charge, or I'll do a little we'll be right back in that situation. So, but as you guys can see, special guest today on the Dusty's Den, and the Dusty Den episode is brought to you by no one, because I'm not sponsored yet. But one day we'll get there. Like I said, Gage is here today. Lifetime friend. I think my oldest friend and our friend group. And let's go ahead, just tell them a little bit how you perceive how we met,
Mike
when you think we met,
said,
and
"Haha, I forgot to laugh." Chase Heinrich said, "Hey,
just how do you think we met? How you perceive it? Because I think I remember the
Well,
day.
I don't think it's how I think or how I perceive. It's how I know. I was 4 years old, and well, no. I was 4 years old when I moved out of the trailer into the house into the same neighborhood. I don't remember how old I was, but I know I met you riding my bike. I ran over your foot during a fundraiser. I was going every year we used to ride around the neighborhood on a bike just going door to door, just trying to sell things out of a fundraiser book. And I was riding around the neighborhood and ran over his foot, and that's how we met.
Yeah,
Chase Heinrich
same thing.
said,
I believe.
closer to the mic, Gage.
Closer to the mic.
Uh,
Is this better?
we'll get right into it. But like he said, yeah, I believe.
Dahlia Garcia said, Angles. Jesus Cortez.
Yeah,
said,
with the
way better.
Bro, I can't. They're making me laugh. This is different because we got more people in chat now going back and forth.
Mike
So I'm trying to.
said,
so we're gonna give chat a
tell
chance
them
to
about
talk.
when
We're
we
gonna go
shoot
read the
fireworks up
messages.
the gutter.
I'm gonna try to pay all my attention on you so we can get through this. So this is my first time, pretty much. For each episode is new, and I'm getting over steps. But I can already hear these kids. I'm gonna have, bro.
Be right back.
Like I said, I'll be right back.
I don't have nothing to talk about yet. I mean, we just got started.
Mike said, SMH. Jesus Cortez said, dude, put M in the basement. Dahlia Smith, not Garcia, said, very professional. So faking _ Dusty said, success at its finest. Chase Heinrich said, Chad fam, how y'all doing since we not getting content? Dahlia Smith, not Garcia, said,
All right, guys.
you stole my husband for the night for this?
Yep.
Mike said,
What happened?
I mean, is this any different? LOL.
Hey, we're back. They were ripping their heads off in there, so we had to handle some business. But we all have kids. We know what it's like. But especially trying to run this, it's very new. We all know this. So just bear with me. We're gonna get to this stuff. Like you said, we met. I want to say because I moved to my grandparents' house when I was 8, so probably 7. Or I remember my 8th birthday, so I think maybe 6 or 7, and then what was it?
Mike said, nah,
running
bruh,
over my
my
foot.
kids angels.
But all the times that we
Dahlia
got in
Smith,
trouble
not
in
Garcia,
that neighborhood, just me and you
said,
and Kyle. You guys, I don't think you guys know
CPS.
Kyle, but it was just us 3 in that neighborhood for a long time. I know there was people down the street too.
Yeah, there was a few, but it was me and you for a few years. Then Kyle got into the picture, and then honestly, we basically lived at his house. We were there every day.
Bro, corn dogs. That's all I remember eating.
Corn dogs, yeah.
We've talked about this before.
We lived off corn dogs and those ice pops.
Like
The little frozen ice pops. Yeah,
like where you slide up the popsicle. Those
Yep.
things were fucking dope.
Lived off that.
Oh.
Yeah,
we might have to
Mike said,
but yeah.
everyone here knows all this. Get to the juicy stuff, man. Mike said, more about popsicles.
So, I know what before me there was a girl I remember you talking to me about. Wasn't it like Jenna?
Oh, yeah.
Mike said,
yeah. That was
hashtag frozen.
I don't know how you knew about that, but yeah, Jenna was I think my first friend ever. That was my original. I mean, I would consider you my childhood best friend, but Like when you get that security question, I usually put you down. But, but no, Jenna was the OG childhood best friend. When I was my mom was best friends with her mom growing up, and we had trailers next to each other. So she used to babysit me and stuff when I was up until I was 4, really. But we still remained close for a couple years, or at least till I think I was up to like 10. Then I haven't talked to her since. Probably been 20 years.
Mike
That's kind of crazy
said,
because if you
update
think
your
about it, have you ever
Wi-Fi
tried to
plan.
find her on Facebook or anything?
I have her on. Yeah.
Oh, you have? You actually have her on?
Yeah, I have her on Facebook. Maybe I don't know how long ago, but yeah, I found her on Facebook, and
That's cool.
I think we talked a little bit, but yeah, she's married, she's got kids.
Wow. Isn't it
Yeah.
crazy? It's crazy how
Yeah, she was like my
our
sister.
age, like from 4 or 5 years old to us now, is like it's gone by like that. That's another reason where I'm trying to do these podcast streams so we can interview each other and see just how far we've come in our life, and everybody has been on here previous from the day one where you're running over my
Dahlia
foot
Smith, not
to
Garcia,
you being married with
said,
2 kids,
Walmart
and 1 wife.
Wi-Fi.
So it's a great feeling for me, and I get joy out of all this. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of memories, a lot of stories. That's for sure.
I do. We could go into some stories if you want. I do want to know one more thing, and it's funny because I recall a time where you told me where you got attacked by some geese in New York,
Oh
or
my
geese,
God.
and you had to jump off the jet ski. I want to know a little bit more about that.
Boy, I know you made a phone call to my mom. That is for sure. You did your homework. First of all, it was a swan.
Swan, okay.
It was a swan, and I don't care what anybody says. Swans are aggressive. They are vicious. Oh, yeah, they are. They're aggressive. They're vicious. I get they're beautiful. I can agree with that, but they are not this sweet, graceful thing that they're meant out to be. They're pretty aggressive. And I was on a jet ski in upstate New York, and we were on a bay. It was called Sodus Bay, and we were riding on the jet skis, and I was trying to get off the jet ski onto the dock, and there was like a little baby swan. I thought it was the cutest thing, so I like reached over to try to pet it, and then I started hearing this loud noise, and it sounded like a helicopter taking off, and it was its wings just flapping really, really loud. And then I looked and I realized it was the mom. And then I thought I just needed to jump off, get away from it, get onto the dock, and it literally got up and flew and ran after me and chased me down the dock for a little while. So yeah, I haven't lived that down, and it's probably been almost 20, maybe 18 years.
Yeah, that's when you're right. I had to do a little bit of homework, and when she told me this, I was like, "Oh, I gotta bring this up." 'Cause this is probably one of the funniest incidences I think I've heard from you.
Yeah, that's.
And
I hear it from everybody.
but that's just I've never been. I don't. The only thing I've been attacked by a dog. I was gonna say.
Yeah, you got a.
I got
true story.
I got an attack story, but like something like that, maybe.
Mine was more of a scare. Yours was an actual attack.
But no, them things are fucking vicious. I've seen
Yes,
them,
they are.
and I would run. I would have ran too. I would have ran. I just seen one the other day on TikTok where this dad was telling the girl, "Hey, just go chase him." That thing took off. She screamed, "Dad!" Fucking fell.
But the noise is
So
something
funny.
you would never forget. I don't even know how to explain it, but the sound of the swan taking
Oh.
off, flapping its wings out of the water was just insanely loud. And that was the first thing that caught my attention.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, that's and that was at New York too as well.
yeah, upstate New York, that's where our family's cottage is.
That's funny. I have
Said, hashtag trauma.
hashtag trauma. But one story that pops out with me and you. Actually, there's a lot. So I mean,
That gets deep.
I mean, what do you want to start? We could start with the Rugrats incident. We could start with the milk incident. We could start with we could start with the wall. I don't know if you.
The fight's a good one. Fight's a good one to
What-
start out with.
And what about the wall incident?
My wall.
Yeah. So, let's start with the
Mike
fight. We're in high school.
said, fix
We're in
your
high
stream,
school.
my guy, hashtag him out.
We go back and forth
Stevie
every day.
Atkins
All of
said,
I think my freshman year.
how y'all boys doing tonight?
And doing good. Right now we're just telling stories about like iconic childhood moments, I would think. Like the one of mine, like I said, was we'll get to them, but the wall, that was one. Him running over my foot. Don't let me bring up the PSP. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
I had to. But no, yeah. So back to the story. I think I was in 9th grade. And let me get your side of it, and then
Stevie
we'll go from there.
Atkins
My
said,
side of it. Well,
stream
That's
trash.
Your side and the right side.
He
that
was
is true.
supposedly
And that is
working
a
on
good
it
point.
all
It's
day,
been
LOL.
at least 15
Chase
years,
Heinrich
and we still have our own
said,
side.
This
But
episode
the
is hard fire,
true
fire,
version,
fire.
There is no other version.
to listen
what
to.
actually happened was there was a little dispute, and I would say for whatever reason I've always tried to be witty and a little prankster and stuff at school. I'm the same way at work, and I used to do this thing where I would take little salt packets and I'd rip the top off and pour it in people's hair so that when
We
they
all
would
did
sweat, it'd get itchy. Then I'd make
Stevie
I'd make somebody look the other way, and I'd pour salt in their drink and stuff like that. And then for whatever reason, I decided to take it to the next level. That day, it was me, you, and I think his name was Steven Tao. Remember that? Yeah. And
Jesus Cortez
Short guy.
said,
Always hanging out with us.
not working on my guy.
His name.
Need a guy in the chair.
Like good-looking girlfriend, blonde, but he was like super short.
no idea.
Oh my god, I wish I could remember his name.
But yeah. So we were. I remember you had this Lot 29 shirt on, this white Lot 29 shirt. You were so proud of it when that was that was the big thing. And for whatever reason, I thought it would be funny. And I had this orange soda, and I started just shaking it till it started foaming. And I took the top off, and it started foaming out. And then I blew the foam of the orange soda on your brand new white Lot 29 shirt, thinking it was funny at the time. And you definitely didn't find that funny. And I remember you took your chocolate milk. It was like a plastic chocolate milk carton that you got from school lunch out of the bag, and you beamed it. You beamed it at my face, and it hit me clear in the cheekbone. Pretty sure it busted on my face, and I thought that was your fist at first. Thought that was the first cheap shot, but the real cheap shot came shortly afterwards, and also part of the true story. Afterwards, we started going back and forth. We were pushing each other, and I think what made the situation a lot worse was obviously we were friends. We fought all the time, and we were used to kind of fighting and getting over it. But at school, you know how it is when there's a fight or a dispute, everybody circles around, they instigate, build things up, and obviously this was no different. I think immediately a swarm of people circled around us. It was seminal, and that was when, at that time, there was like a fight averaging every day. I remember when a pregnant girl got tased.
Oh yeah.
And so that day everybody was circling around. I remember seeing all the kids I thought were like the cool kids. I remember like Eddie Bose or DeBose.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids like I was like really cool with or friends with or like even looked up to at that present time. And I felt like I almost had to do something, and we were both just super mad. And then I remember looking at you, and I thought we kind of came to a mutual agreement that it wasn't going to go anywhere. And for my perspective, I was reaching for my backpack thinking we weren't going to fight, and the next thing I know, I received a punch to the side of my cheekbone. Pretty sure the same cheekbone that also received some trauma from the milk carton. And then realized that my best friend cheap shotted me.
All right, now the right story, the true story. Yeah, pretty much everything was the same thing. The cheap shot, I didn't see a book bag in sight. I think he went down, and then imagine. No, just kidding. But
was I gonna look at you as I was looking down or going down for my backpack?
What we should have done.
How
is just,
awkward would it have looked of me just staring at you as I was leaning down for my backpack?
well, what we should have done was rock paper scissors in front of everybody at that moment. That would have been epic. But no, you're right. The everybody coming around, everybody swarming us. I'm hearing beat his ass, Gage. Beat his ass. I'm like, oh fuck no. And I was, it made me get.
I remember hearing it, and then I was like, "Oh shit, this is gonna make it sound so bad."
Yeah.
But then I remember after all that happened, I was pissed. I remember my friend Isaac at the time. I know Chase will remember Isaac. I was really cool
Jesus
friends with
Cortez
Isaac, or good friends with Isaac at
said,
the time.
"My God, I
And
remember
him
that."
running up to me as the security guard grabbed me, and Isaac was like, "Gage, what do you want to do? What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to get him. I want to get him." And I was just so mad that after I said that I wanted to get you, that Isaac pulled the security guard off of me so I could run after you. And then I remember running after you, and I can't remember if it was Chop Chop or if it was another. It was one of the security guards, and then I remember that's when we got put in golf carts.
Yeah.
And then after that, I remember I ended up going to your house. We apologized, shook hands on it. Then I remember I went into like the principal's office the next day and explained the whole situation to him, that we were best friends. We both just kind of had some rough days and things got blown out of proportion, and he understood. And we both went from being. I don't think I got suspended. I think you got suspended, but he reversed it after I went and. So I should have let your ass stay. So.
You know what's funny? Like I'm just like trying to go back in my mind and think about everything that we've done. Like every one of my birthdays is New Year's Eve. So every New Year's Eve would be in our neighborhood, everybody around, hanging out, doing crazy shit. Like we've talked about the guy where someone lit the bottle rocket off the gutter. He came out, chased us around. We had to hide. You going inside, changing clothes, coming out, and like, what's going on, bro? And then Michael falling down, cutting his arm open. Like I was in bushes and trees, just bro. There could have been. I could have got bit by it. Then being a parent now, I'm like, what the fuck? What was I doing? If I actually see my kids doing, I'm like, what are y'all doing? But that's us getting older, and I'm like, change that side of me is changing to that grandpa. I'm like, not liking it. So my birthday, we need to go set some shit on fire this year and do something, like get in some trouble. Not too much trouble, but some trouble. I can't be in jail. That's the only thing. But yeah, that was one of the big the moments, and we always did that. And remember SOCOM?
Oh yeah.
Playing SOCOM.
Yeah, but we're not gonna go down this road because I know
true.
you're gonna.
No.
You're gonna bring up the PSP.
No, but that's one of my big memories is playing that game online with everybody and like trying to get. I think Michael even played.
I know Brian did. I remember we got so competitive. We started. I think we even found like some glitch.
Mike
We found a glitch
Yes,
where we like
said,
crawled into the stairs or
Stevie
something.
pushed me
Yes.
down.
No, listen. I
Mike
remember I got so addicted
said,
to SOCOM that I went
LOL
on the only
JK.
cruise I've ever been on my entire life. I've only ever been on one cruise, and I remember when we went on that cruise. Like
Jesus Cortez
90% of the time I was on
said,
that ship. I
the
was in the
PSP.
cabin playing SOCOM on PSP.
Yeah.
Because I wanted you to think I was on vacation, but I wanted to get ahead, and so that when I got back, I had better skins, and I was
so funny.
But I was always like that with you. I was always extremely competitive with you. I don't know why, but I genuinely, I think I told you
Mike
this the other day. I genuinely
said,
feel like a lot of my
SOCOM on
nature that I
PSP.
carry right now.
Bro, I hacked the shit
honestly
out of
got
that
from
game.
growing up being extremely competitive with you.
I honestly can't remember if I was competitive. Do you think I was competitive?
1000%.
Okay, because
There's no way it would have gone the way, because you went out of your way because you wanted to win, and everything we did too. From playing horse and basketball at Kyle's house, Crystal's house.
I think I was just naturally talented, and it just came out.
No. And then even with like being Kyle's friend, I remember at one point. I mean, we were kids, we were young, but I remember
we went back and forth.
We would like argue about who was the best friend, like who he liked more as a friend.
So stupid. I won, by the way.
But I remember even when because I remember like with Kingdom Hearts, for example, when that game came out, I remember grinding it so much and trying to stay up late just to try to play it more than you did, to make more progress than you did. But that went down to every game, like Final Fantasy X, like everything that I did.
Did you catch any of the Final Fantasy VII yesterday?
Nah.
Literally died because the timer went off on me first round. In the beginning, you
At the train?
yeah, I didn't know you had.
I've probably played that game for over 20 years, and I don't think I've ever died.
I didn't know you had to go back and save the girl's foot from being stuck. I literally.
Stevie Atkins
I think that's only in the
said,
part.
how y'all remember exact details?
Yeah,
I remember these times but not the details lol.
No, it's funny.
I don't know.
It's funny he brings that up because I've told a lot of people I've always been, for whatever reason, up until about my 20s, I remember things extremely vividly. Like I remember the other day I was like when I lived in a trailer again, I was like 4 years old before I moved. So before then, I could still to this day explain the exact layout of my trailer, where the master bedrooms were, the type of bedding that was in there, the vent and the floor. Because I remember I used to sit on the vent because I thought it was so cool that a vent was on the floor as a kid. But I could explain
I remember
everything
them.
about that place. And some of my best memories that I could remember extremely clearly are from some of my childhood memories. But meanwhile, I could forget something that somebody told me an hour or two ago.
Yeah.
So I've always felt like my short term memory is not nearly as good, but my long
Yeah.
term memory, I could remember
100%.
things. Like I could literally just hear something in passing, and it made me think about something to where I thought about it that much that I'll remember it for like a decade, and
100%.
still remember it. But then I could have a conversation with you and just not remember what we talked
Bring
about
back.
30 minutes later.
Yeah, it's same thing. I've gotten worse with my short term memory, I believe.
Yeah, well, yours is age. You can tell by the top of your
I was waiting for you to take a sip. I knew you couldn't stop.
head.
Boy, yeah, the balding is there. I should have
It is
fucking.
getting a little thicker. I
I,
don't know what you're doing, but it is getting. All jokes
no,
aside,
no, no. That's just the side of my head. If I turn this way, it's. Ching.
and it looks a little more full.
Well, thanks. I will take that. Um, we all know,
Dahlia Smith, not Garcia,
but
said,
let's see.
memory in general.
Yeah, my yeah. Right now, my memory has gotten hella worse. Like I remember, like Brian would tell me he told me something. I was just like, oh, I can't remember that shit. To like, and I have to like go over and tell myself over and over to just try to remember so I don't fuck up and uh
I think that brings
mess
up
up.
a good like impromptu topic we could kind of talk about is really not just memories, but how much how much what we've done with our time has changed
Dahlia Smith, not
since we were
Garcia,
kids. Because
said,
I feel like as a
it's
kid, like if
because
I
you're
stayed
in your
home sick
30s,
from
homie.
school, I felt like the day was so long. Like
Oh
even
yeah.
even if I was playing a video game, I felt like I had so much time to go out, play with friends, go out and get lost in the woods, still have time to play games all day long. And my days always felt super long as a kid, and I had all those memories. But then, I mean, obviously we work and stuff now, and I'm sure that has a big chunk to do with it. But
Yeah,
it's
100%.
just it's just funny how like your days now blend together, and even when you have days like I tell my wife all the time, I invest a lot into work and I take my job very seriously, but with my personal life, like even when I have time to just relax and do whatever, like I don't even know what to do with myself. Like and it's just different. Like I can't just go get lost in the woods anymore, and it's
I've I've noticed maybe me sleeping more, but it's funny because I don't really get. I get like 5 hours. You, but me being overnight, I think that might be
you only
affecting.
sleep 5 hours a night.
Yeah, cause I or maybe well 8:30.
Usually 6 to 7
Eight.
is my sweet spot. 6 to 7 hours.
Hold on. So 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30.
I gotta pull out the fingers.
Oh yeah, 11:30,
Serious
12:30,
math right now.
1:30.
Quick math.
So actually no, 6 or 7 I get. So that's not bad. Uh,
6 or 7 to me is all you need.
But
When
you
I
know what
get
it
eight
is?
hours, I feel like I oversleep.
You know what it is? I don't think I'm getting a good. I was talking to Jesus about this the other day, and the amount of sleep is there, but the quality of sleep, because I think I have sleep apnea. Everybody knows how I snore, and you'll hear me wake up. I'll stop breathing and then start breathing again. And I think the quality of sleep is where
Stevie
I slack.
Atkins,
Well, I think it comes down
said,
to how you feel when you
Rev.
wake up. Like if you feel
I feel
like you're,
tired.
if you always feel, then yeah, your quality of sleep is definitely terrible. But you got to think if, depending on how long that been, if you've been able to still operate and be coherent and do what you got to do throughout the day
But then I also
off of
think,
5 hours, and you've grown accustomed to that too.
but the quality of sleep, I think I'm not getting
Stevie
enough sleep.
Atkins,
Might be
said,
affecting the memory.
oh,
Might be
I'm back.
affecting. My mood doesn't really change. I don't think. Um, but
Yeah,
yes,
you're a piece of shit with or without sleep.
the quality of sleep. But yeah, but we need to talk. We need to bring up the topic of
Which one?
The throwing star. I wanted to bring
Let's
up.
get some interesting stuff going on, not just sidetrack questions.
True,
We'll be doing this for 3 hours.
True.
Do some like
That's like filler.
some things that we could like worth.
So
Let's get some
okay,
big things out of the way.
So we already said that you were born in Sanford, right?
Well,
Well-
no, not Sanford. I'm
Longwood.
I'm born and raised in Florida, but I think I want to say when I had the trailer, when I grew up in the trailer, I think that was in Pine Hills, until I was 4. That's where the trailer park was. Yeah.
Are you for sure?
I'm pretty sure. I know for a fact my mom and my dad, they lived in Pine Hills at one point, and I'm pretty sure that's where the trailer park was.
Bro, how did I not know that?
But why would you need to know? That was I was
Yeah,
only
that's
there till 4. I mean, all I really ever mentioned was that it was a trailer in a trailer park. But I mean, my memories of it were great. Like, and it's funny because if any of you have ever seen the movie The Sandlot, like my memories of that trailer park. I mean, outside of the unit and the layout of the trailer itself, like the community of it felt like what you saw in Sandlot. Like if you remember when what was his name was at the pool.
Dahlia Smith, not
with the
Garcia,
glasses. What's
said,
his name? Squints.
I literally did not know that.
When he was at the pool and like all those people were at the pool, that's how the community pool was at the trailer park. There was always a lifeguard, but there was like always like 15, 20 people at the pool. It was always like a fun place to hang out.
I feel like 099 was my Sandlot.
099.
For real, I forgot that.
Yeah, man, that was
the previous episode we talked about 099. If you're not aware, 099 was the bus that we rode from our house
Did you
to
ride that bus? Yeah, you did.
school. You got into Seminole. Yeah, bitch. I was at your house waking your ass up every morning.
Yeah, but you were doing that when we were going to different. You were doing that when I went to Malone.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Sanford Middle.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, you've always been.
Remember when I missed the bus because of your dumbass dog?
Hey, rest in peace, Maui. But yes.
Now this dog pissed on my shirt.
That's what you get when he did it 3 times. That's your fault.
No,
because that dog has never pissed on anybody. It didn't even piss in the house, but it managed to piss on you 3 times. At one point, I remember we were going to like Aquatica or something that for my sister's birthday, and I remember you like laid on the bed or something for a second, and Maui jumped on your back and laid on your back for like 2 seconds, and then just took a piss.
I was warm.
And then there was another day I remember you had gotten
new shoes.
Yeah,
shoes.
They were new shoes, and yeah, I remember you were flexing with them at first, and then you had just gotten to because it was like a habit. Like I didn't even need an alarm clock. He'd be banging on my window. He did that when he just wanted to come hang out, and I was a little gamer nerd, just cooped up in my room, never wanted to go out, play with friends, and it was funny because I would procrastinate and I would regret not going out and spending as much time with my friends after the fact. But in the moment, I just wanted to keep playing video games, and he would basically just stand outside my window, almost like what you would imagine, like a guy holding a boombox for a girl, waiting for them to look out the window. And then I'd finally just go out there, and then we would just go hang out. But he always pulled me out of my comfort zone, and I remember every morning, it never failed. He was always at my house waking me up, and that one day, he was already running a little behind. He had some brand new shoes on. And Maui walked right up to him and lifted his leg and pissed right on his brand new shoes. Not only did he piss on his brand new shoes, but then he ran home to change his shoes, and I went to the bus stop without him anyways. And I was on the bus, and the funniest part, because I never told him until right now, I saw you running from down the street, and I could have told the bus driver you were coming. But I didn't, because I thought it would be funny if you missed the bus.
Said,
and I swear on everything
096.
that happened. And I saw you running down the street, and I thought it'd be really funny if you missed the bus. And so I didn't say anything. And I saw you running, and you ended up missing the bus after getting your shoes pissed on. So
thanks a lot.
Rest in peace. Because my little pupster is no longer here.
Yeah, it was a cute dog. Just pissed on my shoes and never forgave him. So the main subject of today. Because we can go down your whole childhood to now, but the main subject was going to be success and how we perceive success in our lives. Like my vision or definition of success is probably different than yours, because I've talked to you before about how I don't really think about these things, but you cannot stop thinking about these things, like other, like some topics, like um one thing for me, like seeing my kids and where they're at now is one of my successful, how how can I say it, like I define success with my kids, I guess you could say now.
So
If they're
is that the question?
if
Like,
they're
how do you
happy,
define success?
yeah,
Okay.
if they're happy, I'm happy and I feel successful. Um, but there's other terms where, like my job right now, I can't really. I'm not gonna say it publicly, but it could be better, and my living conditions could be better. I could be in a house instead of a room for that I rent from one of my other good friends. Um, I see, and I don't see that me in my life being that successful in that sense, but me and the kids, that's more of a success for me. But right now, like when it does get, but so when it does get brought up, and we're talking about living conditions or you buying a house or me having to find a house, I'm like, damn, I don't feel successful at all. But 10 minutes ago, when I'm talking to my kids and they're telling me about their day, I'm like, damn, I'm pretty successful. I feel successful in that sense. So that's the one side. I want to just note my side a little bit before getting to yours, because I and I'll let you know my side, how I see you and your success, and I want to kind of compare the two. I know that's a big question and a lot to take in, but let's just dive into that right there. Ooh, what the heck was that? Sorry, guys, I can't talk. We'll talk about that for a little bit and digest this. If you can, guys, in the chat, I know there's questions, there's comments, there's you guys talking back and forth. I want to have a segment maybe after this where we can come and talk to you guys a little bit more. I'll
Stay focused.
I know, but I want to focus on this and this topic right now, and then we'll come and we'll interact with you guys. Like I said, we're still this the third episode. We're learning, and I'm enjoying every step of it. Thank you all for being here. Make sure you like the video. It helps me a lot. And you go ahead and take it away and your definition of success.
Okay. I was gonna say I forgot the question after getting sidetracked right after asking the most important question of the whole podcast. So I mean, as you said, that's definitely not a quick question to answer, but that's a really good question. And I've actually thought about that quite a bit because I think it's again it's an easy question to answer, but it's a longer question to answer. And what I would say is I think everybody defines success a little bit differently, but I feel like two parts to this. I feel very strongly about the one single thing that promotes or drives success more than anything, and then also the other side is how you perceive success. And I perceive success through fulfillment, and I feel like the single most important thing that promotes and drives success is discipline. And the reason I say discipline is the biggest driver for success is I'm sure everybody could relate, whether it be you, me, Brian, anybody watching. I'm sure everybody has a situation where they had a job they worked at and there was somebody in like a manager role or in like a role that you don't understand how in the world they got hired for. And it could have been that they were just didn't have the capability to do it. They didn't have the knowledge to do it. They didn't have any idea what they were doing. But in most cases, the reason a lot of those people get the jobs is they were a little bit more consistent or disciplined, even if they didn't have the knowledge. And I've seen that in all the jobs I've worked at to where you could be in sales, for example. I've been in sales for about 10 years, and I've seen so many times where your job as a salesperson is to sell something, and they couldn't sell the shoes on their feet, couldn't sell at all, but because they had the discipline, they were more successful than somebody who was good at the job that lacked discipline. And I feel like that applies to everything. So even if it's not financial, because again, your perspective of success, that it depends on
Brian
if it's
Atkins
materialistic, if it's
said,
financial, if
learn
it's
faster.
being a parent, or I mean, there's a lot of different things that you could choose to define success, but again, to me, the same fundamentals are all the same. Because again, being a parent, if you're a disciplined parent, it's going to pay off on how your kids act. And again, whether it be working, things like that. And I'll talk about kind of, like how I guess not only climbed the ladder, but like where I started and kind of how I realized that throughout my own journey. But I would say I defined my perception of success has also changed as I've grown older. And for me, when I was young, my definition of success was making a lot of money, and I felt like it was all materialistic, and I felt that way because growing up, I'm not gonna say I had the worst childhood, um, but I always, for whatever reason, felt like I didn't have as much as some of other kids had, and things like that. And I had the basics. I was taken care of. I had a roof over my head that I was grateful for. But I always felt like there was a lot of other kids that had more stuff than I did, and I had this habit of hanging out with a lot of people who had more stuff than I did, so that it made me feel like I would fit in. And in reality, all it kept doing was making me jealous of what those kids had. And growing up feeling that way for so long, that when I got to a point to where I was in a position to buy things for myself, I felt like that success was going to come from having a nicer car, having a nicer apartment, um, making, more and more money. And it was funny. I didn't really think about it too much until Brian the other day when me and him kind of talked about it. And he kind of mentioned, I don't know if the question was where he thought he was most successful, or his proudest moment.
Yeah.
And I remember he had made a comment to where, because at first I was really quick to answer, and then when I kind of thought about it a little more, I agreed with him because I could think of single things, I guess, like isolated or individual moments that you're probably proud of, or that where you felt successful in that moment. But in reality, it's I think success or being proud is something that really lasts long term. And what he brought up and mentioned is that every time he accomplishes something, it's natural for him to just set the bar higher. He doesn't really feel like he accomplishes it once he does, even if it's something that he's been chasing for so long. And I immediately could relate to that. And not to get too deep into like personal like finances and stuff like that, but I'll give you an example. Like when my very first job was Hollister. I mean, when I was young, we were knocking on people's doors asking to mow their lawn for $5. But my first official, like, and I know at one point, even with Chase, I don't know if he remembers, but there was a situation or a time or two where we had these devices, and I think we were paid like 15 or $20 an hour or $10 an hour or something. And at the time, that was like crazy money. But it was only for like 4 hours a day, a couple days a week. And we literally sat at like a busy intersection, and we pressed a button every time a car would pull into a parking lot and every time it would be leaving. And I guess it was for like traffic control or something. And we did that for a little while. But those were like little side things. But my first official
Chase
job
Heinrich
was
said,
is
traffic counting.
yeah, traffic
Chase
counting.
Heinrich said, hell yeah, dude, I remember that.
Yeah,
That's funny.
it was funny. I think Jorge even did that with us too.
I don't think
But
I ever heard that before.
yeah, it was pretty cool. And again, as a kid, man, like, because like right after that, when I started my first job at Hollister, I think I was 17. And you're in as a teenager, like again, at least for me, obviously an adult now. I've grown up, and I don't really care about things as much anymore. But at that age, I was always so focused on trying to be cool and wear all the cool clothes and hang out with the cool kids. I was always so worried about everybody who thought about me. And I remember at that present time when I started working at Hollister, I was like, I felt like that was like I hit the gold mine. I got a job working at the place that I thought all the cool kids worked, because I felt like you had to be good looking to work there, and I was like, oh man, I made it.
Yeah.
And I remember I treasured that job though, because I felt like it was such a good job to have, even though I didn't really make much money. And I remember it really opened my eyes when I was working all kinds of crazy overtime. And I remember I think I worked like 50 hours in a week, and I did that twice in a row. And I think my paycheck for 2 weeks for that many hours was like $375. for 2 weeks, and I did that like many hours. And I think at the time it was like $6 an hour. And that's what's crazy to me to think that, some like now just basic entry level jobs, nothing against them, are like starting at $10, $15 an hour to do the same stuff. And the crazy thing is at that time I didn't really care how much money I made. I worked every hour that I could. And again, that came down to discipline. Like, all attendance was never an issue. I was always there early. If they ever needed anybody to stay late, I was always there. And it created a resource for me. Everybody always knew I was reliable. And that like mentality of discipline is something that I took with me everywhere I went. And I always, but then like when I got to Hollister, for example, my goal at the time was I wanted to be a manager. So then
A.O. Washington
when I became a
said,
manager,
"You can
then I
successfully
was
be a
like, oh
criminal.
man, well, this is great, but
Success isn't
now
money or
what's
stuff,
next?
but
So
it could
then I
be.
went to,
I think it's
I
more
think that
activity
was
to me
Sears,
anyway."
or no, it was Convergys. It was Convergys after that, and I worked for AT&T at Convergys, and because I just wanted to try something new. I felt like I was capped out at Hollister. I was there for like 4 or 5 years, and this is where I started my call center career, because I've been in call centers for about 10, at least 10, 11 years now. And I started working at AT&T, and it basically just every time your service stopped working or you were late on a bill and you had to call in to get angry with people, you got me at the time. Then I felt like, okay, now I didn't care about the money. I want to be a manager again. So I was like, well, what's the prestigious role there? And it was being a manager in the escalation department. And then I remember I finally did that, and then I got bored. It was like no matter what I did, I got bored at a certain stage, and then I wanted to move to what's next. But at that present moment, I felt like I would get where I wanted and accomplish what I wanted and feel fulfilled once I became a manager. And then immediately when I became a manager, I was already focusing on what's next. And but I remember the real reason I ended up leaving Convergys is that was around the times I had my heart problems that you said you didn't even remember I
Yeah, the
had.
heart attack. Or
Yeah, it was like a minor heart attack, but it was still classified as a heart attack.
I thought it was the what is it? Because at that time you were working out a lot, right? Is that why?
Uh,
Was it?
well, I started working. Well, no, I guess that wasn't the heart attack. No, that was when Gabby had her heart attack, and then my dad had his a week before.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I took
I do
off
remember
work.
that.
I took off work to be with him because my heart attack came after. Because that I was working out around that stage, but I didn't get into bodybuilding until a couple years after, and I was bodybuilding when I had it.
And it's funny because so you mentioned oh my god, discipline. Discipline was the key for all your success, and I can understand that because I mean you've been disciplined through all of. I mean, maybe not. I can't really see it through childhood because we didn't. There's nothing we did to have discipline until you started going to the gym, and then it was constantly every day, and then you ate right. Then I was like, okay, so he's getting into this, like really really getting into this, and that shows me the discipline. And then I've never really worked with you, so I can't. I never see that side of you. But do you think you bring that manager and discipline back to your home life? I think you've mentioned it before, and you try not to, but it's just so hard that you can't. I mean, you could separate the two, but it's just that's who you are.
Well, I thought about it more and more recently, and at first I thought I was acting that way at home because of the fact that I do it so much. Because again, I've been in call centers for 10 years. I've also
Dahlia
been
Smith,
in
not
leadership
Garcia,
roles for
said,
probably 12,
"Hell
13
yeah, he
years. So
does."
my background has always been
Chase
in
Heinrich
management. And
said,
what I realized is that
"Gage
I thought a
always
lot
had
of the
that laser
reason, because I'm
focus
sure
when he
Dahlia's
had a
blowing up the
goal.
chat right now,
Really admirable."
that I do bring it home, and I know I do. But I don't think it's so much that I bring it home. Where just like you said, I think it's who I am, because I also remember before I became a manager, I know I was bossy as a kid, and I always wanted to be the one that was calling the shots, saying what we were going to do. I always wanted to be in control. Um, but again, but just to even piggyback, because I wasn't finished with the whole
Okay.
Convergys transition. Because although I've stayed in the same overall, I wouldn't say industry, but type of work, line of work, working in call centers, because of all that, I had taken some time off. Long story short, because an ex girlfriend had had a heart attack, and then it was a week after my dad had his, so it was like a lot at once. So I remember I took like a week or two off of work, and then I remember my boss at the time told me to take all the time off I needed. And long story short, when I was ready to come back again after like a week and a half, 2 weeks, he was like ducking my calls and ignoring my calls. And no matter who I called, leadership related, they weren't like answering my calls. And then I finally got a hold of the HR department, and they said I was no longer employed and that I had been blacklisted, and it had completely like defeated my character, made me completely regret taking any type of time off, to where I didn't know where I was going to go from there. And I remember Mike. Honestly, I would really credit a lot of the reason that I've even had some of the opportunities I've had, all from that opportunity I had at Sears, which is really because of Mike. And I told him I was looking for a job at the time, and he told me his mom worked at Sears. And I remember she got me an interview, and I walked in there, and I still to this day live across the street from where I used to work there at Sears. And I walked in, I interviewed, I got the job. Same thing happened there. I just wanted to be a manager. Became a manager after a year, and Sears is where I really started realizing that, yeah, started taking off, doing well for myself, climbing the ladder, but then realizing what I was good at, why I enjoyed it, what I got out of it, because I got into sales kind of on accident. I never really thought I was gonna like sales. I thought you had to be like this aggressive pit bull, and that just wasn't really in my makeup. And when I had gotten the job at Sears, I remember like a month after getting the job, they had sent out an email or an announcement, and they were like, effective starting next month, we're going to be converting this into a sales center. And in my head, I was like, oh my God, I finally just got a brand new job. And what am I going to do? Quit because I'm scared because I don't want to sell something and go find another job? Or do I just give it a shot? And I gave it a shot, and I ended up being really, really good at it, and realized that I didn't have to be the type of person I thought I had to be. And I started making good money for what I thought was good money at the time, and then climbed the ladder there. And then when I felt like I got to this actually leads into how I met my wife. When I started the climbing the ladder at Sears, I got to a stage where after I became a manager that I wanted to become, a big manager. Like I wanted to manage managers. And that was at the time I think they called that like a sales and service manager, where you ran a department, you were responsible for a department, you had like 4 or 5 supervisors or leaders that reported to you, and that was my next goal. That's where I wanted to be. That was in the next bracket of income I wanted to be at, and that was what I was fighting for. And I remember Mike even worked with me there for a while at the time. And I finally got an opportunity to do that. I had managers working for me, and I think I was like 23, 24. And at that age, I felt like I was, on top of the world. I was starting to get into my prime.
Yeah.
So then I started hanging out with a lot of these people, because I was a big believer in that you are who you hang out with. So I started hanging out with people who were successful but driven. Like it wasn't really about their money. Like if they carried that same drive, I just naturally just gravitated towards them. And I remember everybody that I hung out with that all kind of were extremely competitive, took their job seriously. Everybody went to Liberty Mutual. And Liberty Mutual, like me and like 10 other people, it was like 10 of us managers all at once, that like we all started going over there one at a time. And that was like taking us all to that next bracket. And then now it's like, well, I've just been a manager for 5 years. Do I want to get back on the phones and sell? And we were willing to walk away from that and give up on that, for the money, because it was going to be the most money that all of us have ever made. And again, I was at that stage where I felt fresh in sales. I felt really good at sales. I was making great money. So I took the plunge, went to Liberty Mutual, and then I started making the most money I ever made. Things were going great. And long story short, what had happened is around that exact same time, I remember I was with an ex that I'm not going to talk about too much, but I will say I was with her, and we were at the tail end of a relationship, and things weren't going that well, to say the least. And my mom, for example, is somebody who gets along with everybody. Like she's the kind of mom that when I was a kid and broke up with a girl, she invited that same girl over to do her nails the next
This
day.
is the crazy one, right?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
one we're gonna talk about. Well, I'm not. I don't want to.
No,
I'm not gonna.
names.
Well, no, I just. But regardless of mention names, I'm not gonna sit and badmouth. Regardless,
slander
like
nobody.
we're all grown, we're adults. It's not like I was perfect either. So that's besides the point.
But
So
bitch, be crazy.
but listen. So at the end of the day, It was towards the tail end of our relationship. I already kind of knew I was out the door, but the reason I brought up my mom is my mom's the kind of person that always loved everybody I ever chose to date. And my mom was did not like her too much. She just knew that she made me unhappy, made me miserable, and she was trying to set me up with who is now my wife, Dahlia. And she told me about her all the time, and like I knew about her probably months before I ever saw her for the first time. She always talked about her, thought she was my type. So one day I was walking through the mall and I was with my ex. And I remember walking through the mall and I saw Dahlia at the counter behind the register, and I was like, "Oh man, she's a little dime piece over there." And she was at Macy's, and I was walking by, and as I was walking, keep in mind, let me make something very clear too. Even though I was in a relationship, I know it sounds terrible, but again, I've never cheated my entire life. That's not in my character. I would never cheat on a woman ever. It was kind of one of those things that I knew it wasn't going to work, but I felt uncomfortable, um, just breaking up at that stage. But I knew I was on my way out, and my mom was trying to make that a little bit easier. And to keep in mind, again, I was really young, so or relatively young, I guess you could say. So, long story short, I was walking through the mall. I was with my ex, and I looked over my shoulder and I saw her at the counter, and I looked back at her and kind of like watched her as I was walking away, and I saw her make eye contact with me. And then like maybe like 30 minutes later, we were leaving the mall, and I made sure we walked out the same exact way. I led as we were walking out, and I walked out, and then I saw her on the phone with somebody. And ironically enough, knowing I saw her on the phone as we walked by, I had called my mom after my ex ended up going home, and I was like, "Mom, hey, I think I saw Dahlia at Macy's. You know what? You're right. She's gorgeous." And I had mentioned that to her, and she's like, "That's so funny. She called me and said that she saw you in the mall, and it came to come to find out that the person she was talking to on the phone when I walked by was my mom, and she was
Yeah.
telling my mom that she thought she saw me and thought I was attractive." So the reason all this comes up is because after I had left Sears, keeping in mind that I always felt, despite the money, despite a lot of people that I still know that don't like Sears and that badmouth Sears, Sears gave me a lot of the fundamentals I needed to be where I am. And with Dolly at the time, after I left Sears and I went to Liberty Mutual, I found out after we started talking and flirting after I broke up with my ex, after being introduced to her from my mom. Yeah, funnily enough, right?
That's funny.
But then I remember we were like talking, we were flirting, everything seemed like it was going great. She's probably gonna hate me for even talking about this, but I remember I wrote her some kind of poem, and I thought I was like I was gonna be super romantic for it. I spent so much time writing it. I was like even reading it to myself. Then I sent it to her, and it seemed like she loved it. But then, even though she made it seem like she loved it, like 2 hours later, she like ghosted me, and then it went
Mm.
5 months 5 months after me giving her a poem, just cutting me off out of nowhere. Keeping in mind that we were like starting to talk a little bit, flirt a little bit, just ghosted
Chase
me for
Heinrich
5 months.
said,
But and
a
again
real Shakespeare over here.
to preface this a little bit, this was again in my stage in my life where I feel like everybody gets to that moment where they
Dahlia
feel like
Smith, not Garcia,
everything is starting to
said,
really look up
sigh,
for
I
you.
didn't want to be a
And that
rebound.
was at the peak of me in bodybuilding, so I felt like I was in the best shape of my life. I was
Yeah.
doing well in sales. I had a great job, so I felt like I had a lot to offer, so I was really confident at that stage of my life. And the fact that I felt like I wanted Dahlia so bad but I couldn't have her made me go nuts. So when I was working at Liberty Mutual, I found out through the grapevine that she ended up getting a job at Sears, where I had worked before.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, what are the odds of that? That the girl I've been talking to that I had like a massive crush on started working at the company that I like flourished at. So I remember finding out about that. And again, being at Liberty, I was like, you know what? I'm making good money, but I don't feel like this is going to be somewhere I retire at. I don't feel like this is a place I'm going to be at for a long time. So I was like, and then something just kept drawing me back to seeing, like, well, how am I going to get this girl to talk to me? She won't respond to my text messages. She won't call me back, but there was something about her that drove me crazy. So I called one of he was the GM or the like operations manager at the time at Sears. And I used to work really closely with him, and his name was Devon. and I called him and I asked if there was any like senior level leadership positions open. And there was a position for the center training manager. It was running the entire training department for Sears, basically.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I remember I took that position because it was equal money to what I was making at Sears or at Liberty, and but it was a prestigious role to where I felt like it was justifiable for me to make a move like that. But in reality,
Lions Head
the real
Gaming
reason
said,
that I made that move is because
balls.
I knew that she wasn't going to answer me. So that was how I was going to, get her to talk. That's how I was going to get her attention. And I started working there and she started seeing me all the time. And I made sure that I had the nicest suits on. I was wearing bow ties. I always made sure I tried to look my best. And I remember I would always make it a point to walk by her. I remember I even ran into a position. This is where everything started crashing down a little bit. Oh, geez. Um, when I was like, well, you know what? Maybe a way I can kind of get to her a little bit is let me see if I could help her grow within the company. So I had a good reputation at the time of like growing individuals into leadership and grooming them for leadership. So I started prepping her to be in leadership. And long story short, she got promoted. And after she got promoted, she ended up getting aligned under me. So I ended up being her boss. And that's a big no no in corporate America to have a relationship with somebody who then directly reports to you. So then now it's like, this is now my wife. But at the time, it was like, dang, this is the girl I'm talking to. I left my last job for this job to talk to this girl. But if I get caught doing this, I'm going to have no job. And I did that for nothing. And I'm probably not going to end up with her. So I was freaking out a little bit. And then I found out she got pregnant. And I believe in marriage before having a baby. That was my view. So we ended up getting married. And what was crazy is we both.
Wait, y'all were together though.
Yeah, but let me explain this first. So what happened was is we both ended up getting engaged. We were talking. We weren't engaged yet. When we became engaged, we were still working at Sears. Both had rings on our fingers, and we sat behind each other. And I was her boss, and everyone and their mother would, keeping in mind she's pregnant, she had morning sickness, she was throwing up like crazy, and I was her boss. I had to give her the breaks, ask her if she was okay, but I had to know that line to make sure that it didn't become obvious. And I regretted it because I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have chosen to interfere with like business and personal. I don't regret my decisions with Dolly, obviously, but like with the way things kind of panned out. So I remember I ended up having to go talk to my boss about it, and I was like, hey, I need to have like a lanyard off conversation with you, like to where it's just like us boys talking. And I told him everything that happened, and he told me, he was like, well, listen, I'm not gonna go snitch, but I can tell you right now, it's probably gonna end up coming out. People are gonna find out, so one of you are probably gonna have to go. And as much as I was in a good position financially and had a good job, I felt like with my moral compass that it was really wrong for me to tell her she needs to go quick because I had a higher position. So I started to try to look for something else already. And again, knowing that everybody's asking who she's engaged to, who the baby daddy's gonna be, and I'm sitting right behind her and listening to just her trying to make up stories and
That's funny.
and then so then she ended up quitting, and I pursued things a little bit longer on Sears, and then that's what led me to the industry I'm in now, which is timeshare. And I don't sell timeshare personally, but I work in the timeshare industry. And I started working for a company called Wyndham, and I was there for quite a few years. And it's like inbound sales where people call in, and I had like a team of agents who would sell them packages, and I'd get paid off, my team's commissions, things like that. So I worked at Wyndham for a few years, and I got that opportunity because one of the old training managers that worked with me at Sears went over there and had a lot of good things to say about it. And again, it was like my next stage in life to where I felt like, okay, this is my next income bracket. This is going to take me to a whole nother level. And knowing that I'm now engaged and have a kid, or I was married at the time and had a kid on the way, I needed to take another step. So I took the plunge and just decided to just start over again in a brand new industry. And then it ended up working very well. I did very well at Wyndham. Again, I was there for like 3 years. Then that led me to Westgate. I was there at Westgate, and I ran Westgate's owner referral division for like a year and a half, and then COVID hit. And one thing that I could tell you about COVID is it was rough on the travel industry, that's for sure. I mean, I worked in the travel, like literally I had that mentality that even if I got fired for something, that my resume would give me the ability to just walk into a competitor's doors and be fine and have a job. But when COVID hit, the whole travel industry was shut down and flipped over, like flip upside down, because it was like nope, everybody was scared to even go outside, let alone travel, and they couldn't travel if they wanted to. So then it was like I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I don't even have a job anymore. So that'll get into a topic I think he wants to cover later. So we'll save what happened between then and where I'm at now for later on in the podcast. But where that led me to today is working still in the industry, but working for Hilton. And
Well,
Hilton
we can
is
segue. Well, I know you don't have a lot of time. We could break. I was thinking about breaking this up into two podcasts.
what
The
time is it now?
so
For like till 12 or so.
okay, so we got about 45 minutes left. I think we got a few more things to talk about, and I want to end it on just something fun. Playing this game that I downloaded the other day. It's Getting Over It. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but we still got um a few things to talk about. Nothing too crazy. I want to take a quick break so I can get something to drink and just check on the children real quick. I'm gonna put y'all on a break. I'm also gonna go through some of these comments, and then we can address some of those. But bottom line, how you see success. Your one word you would have to say for the whole thing after that novel would be discipline. What I'm getting.
You said you wanted me to define success, and you even prefaced that by saying, "I know it's not a quick answer." And I
You're right.
prefaced mine by saying it
You're
wasn't
right.
a
You're
quick
right.
answer.
But
I'm sure you wanted my story, so I got
I
to
didn't
it.
want that. I didn't want that love story at the end. But no, I'm just kidding. Honestly, I didn't know that your mom was the one that introduced y'all. I thought y'all met at Sears.
Well, I met at Sears because of all that. That's what
Dang,
drove
she
me back
ghosted
to
your ass for
Sears.
5 months,
Yeah, and I rolled the dice, not even knowing if it was going to work out because we didn't even talk. I literally just
bro.
decided to roll the
So,
dice and go back to Sears.
so let me ask you: were you guys together when
It was
you?
months after me going to Sears.
No,
We
no,
met at
okay,
Sears.
but you were with Sears. Did you ask her out? Like, was she your girlfriend when you got her pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you got her pregnant,
No,
and then it
no,
became, and then it was
we were dating.
yeah, cause bro, it's funny because we're not gonna get into it because we all of our friends and everybody's couldn't see this, but it's just funny. Our I really don't have a dating history. Let me get Tinder. We can talk about Tinder, and that'd be a different story. But um, and I've actually thought about doing a podcast. I don't think I told you, but I wanna have a podcast separate from this. It would be people that I find on like Bumble, Tinder, and my main thing would be looking for girls to come on the podcast.
Dahlia Smith,
Nothing
not
crazy.
Garcia,
All this
said,
like,
"We
hey,
know that, boo."
I don't, nothing crazy, but just talking about uh their dating experience from the website, how they perceive all this stuff. I think perceive is like a big word that I like to use on this show, or recently anyway. I feel smart when I say it. But let me go ahead and we'll do a quick break, and then if you gotta go to the bathroom or anything or get some more water, and then we could go for another about 45 minutes. Okay, guys. We'll be right back.
So faking_Dusty. Said. Gage, A.O. Washington. I can agree with that 1000%.
Hour and 15 minutes, probably with all the delay and breaks.
Yeah, I know, right? And we're back. All right, guys. Yep. So the kids have not killed each other. They're actually doing pretty good. Uh, I'm surprised. It's also, I would love if I could do this on the regular, maybe twice a week, because I usually have my kids at like 6:30. If I can do this podcast twice a week, but it's hard to get guests during the week, you know. But if I could do it once every weekend, like if my kids can stay in that room, stay in the side room, and not be interrupting this, um, I could do probably 4 months. It would be nice. Excuse me. But I did see I saw a pretty interesting question on here. I wanted to ask you. It was a few questions actually. We could do rapid fire. And if you have any questions in chat, go ahead and just shoot them to us. I think I might check on the Facebook poll as well to see if there's any questions over there. But my first question: when's the last time you really got to experience nature?
Um, the last time I got to experience nature is probably when we all went camping.
That was probably a year ago, right?
Probably that was the last time, with me, Mike, you, Jesus,
Oh my god.
all of us. When we all went camping, was it Jenny Springs or something like that? Jenny Springs. Yeah. When we all went camping, that was the last time, honestly.
Yeah, Jenny Springs was great. First time I think that was the second year I went with you. But dude, that that whole experience is just amazing.
That was my first time.
Yeah. My second time, your first time.
Yeah.
And the whole experience is great cuz bro. And imagine we can get more of our like friend group to get a bigger live, bigger like get a tent. It's just and then just chilling in the river. Awesome. Cold as fuck though.
Yeah,
Cold as
I didn't even
tits.
get past my fucking. I couldn't go even. I couldn't go all the
Waist,
way
yeah.
in. I was freezing.
Yeah.
I was shivering. I remember then Dahlia ended up swimming out, and I'm like, oh great, I'm the only one who can't handle the temperature. But I was literally shivering, and I got no enjoyment out of trying to hop in that water.
Yeah, it was cold.
Chase Heinrich said, I live on a lake out in Ocala National Forest. Come though to experience some more.
That's awesome, man.
Dang, I didn't know you were out there.
Wow.
I know. I've told. We've talked. About me and Chase off camera a little bit. I want to get him on talking about. I don't know if you know, but he does knives now.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Blacksmith. I told him he owes me a knife.
Pretty awesome.
But I'm like 100th in line or something like that. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Probably takes a while.
But yeah. As soon as he gets that, I get some time. I want him to come on. I got actually a few people lined up that want to come on the podcast, which is pretty interesting. And people actually reaching out and asking me, "Hey, when can you talk about this? When are you going to talk about that?" I was like, "Hey, keep bringing them to me. I'll answer all the questions I can, and I'll get whoever wants to come on. Please message me. Tell me you want to join, and I'll get you in here. It's a nice little like 5x5 room, but
well, if we're gonna cut this one short, why don't we make some of the things that we do talk about like big important topics then, and save some of the other ones if we're doing like a part two.
we can't. I mean, yeah, I wanna, you're right. See, that's my thing.
I mean, in reality,
no, you're right. My thing is, I want to keep going, and I could go for another hour and a half. But
let's see. But let's start getting progress.
But you're right.
On
We
some
have
questions.
to. We have to stick to a.
What did Chase say?
Chase Heinrich said, Gage, how is your relationship with Dennis as an adult now?
Oh boy.
That's a great question. I didn't. You know, it's funny because I was gonna bring that up, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to bring it up. If you want to answer, we can answer. We can get into it.
I'll answer.
Mike's yours.
Yeah, I'll answer. I don't want to get too deep on
Dahlia Smith, not Garcia.
Yeah.
Said,
I don't
Lord.
like airing out laundry too much, even if it's my own. But I would say, I mean, it probably
Dahlia
hasn't
Smith,
changed
not
too
Garcia.
much from probably what you
Said,
even remember.
Hard-hitting
I'll
questions.
say, to be as generally speaking as possible without getting too deep. We've always had our differences. We've never really seen eye to eye on a lot of things. And little things cause big problems. And I could tell you that there's been several major situations, because you have to keep in mind too, like, I have a wife, and I've got a 4 and a 5-year-old girl, and then I have a third girl on the way. So, I have my own family I'm responsible for. And, I had a situation where my wife and my kids were with me, and I had one of the same situations that you probably remember happened again when I'm a grown adult. I'm 30 years old. I don't have to deal with that anymore. And it immediately put me back into that stage of what I remembered as a kid. And like I immediately turned like 16 again or 15 again, and got extremely aggressive, and we ended up getting into it. And without getting too much into detail, we didn't really even talk to each other. My kids didn't really go over there. That affected my relationship with my own mother for probably close to a year. And then I don't know, I don't want to, again, to get too deep into it, but I'll say that there's just some things that I think a lot of people are accepted just won't change, because it's just who people are. And I'm not going to sit here and make, Dennis out to be a terrible person, because at the same time, he had a roof over my head and I had a place to live, and he still stepped into the picture when, I needed a father figure there when, I lived with my mom. So, but I would say that the way like natural fights and arguments between parents and kids happened were a lot deeper and aggressive than normal, and that should have been. And I think, obviously as an adult, not only do you not have to deal with those things, you almost feel a little bit of a buildup of release that you haven't been able to let go as a kid, that now you're like, well, now I'm an adult like you were when you treated me that way. And now I'm at a stage where I don't have to deal with that. And I'm also an adult. So you can't talk to me like I'm not a kid anymore. So you can't talk to me like one. And it caused a bunch of issues. And I think we've all just kind of accepted that some things won't change. But, some things I also have to accept to a certain extent to have a relationship with my mom. So my mom's been my big rock. I have no problem saying I'm a mama's boy. I without my mom, for another topic without getting too deep, there was a point where I almost took my own life, and it was a pretty rough point in my life. And Dustin was a key point there to straighten me out and keep me from doing anything stupid. But my mom was the one person I had to lean on and was turned into a best friend when I needed one. And I could say, but between my mom and Dustin, if I wouldn't have had them, I probably would have gone through with it. So I've always kind of held on to knowing that when I really needed somebody, she was the only. And I mean, I reached out to family members, I reached out to a lot of friends, and clearly needed help and just didn't know what to do, where to go. And some friends I felt uncomfortable reaching out to because I didn't want them to know I was involved with certain things and making bad decisions. So, my mom was the person I needed when I needed it, and I've always kind of accepted how certain things are with me and Dennis because of the relationship I want with me and my mom. So yeah, he still kind of acts the same. He doesn't change, but you know, things are the way they are.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've always been on the outside, and I see your point. But there was a time when I was working with Dennis, doing the pools with Jamie and all them, and he plays to be your buddy. I've seen, and I love Dennis.
Chase Heinrich
I'll tell him
said,
to his face as well.
status quo then LOL.
So he he'll act one way to your face and act another behind your back. From on my personal experience when I was working with him, so I didn't really like that. So I cut that. I stopped working with him and then just kept it more as my one of my best friends stepdad. And uh I'll go over there. Well, before all the stuff that happened with you, I'll go over there and talk, and my kids would see your mom, and we would hang out. And Logan was there, and I would talk with him and just check in on the family. But ever since that happened with you guys and just the BS, I'm like, you know what? Why am I gonna give my time to for that? And I love your mom. Your mom can call me anytime she wants. But you're right. When I got the information, I called her today, and she was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" It was funny because I told her the podcast was going to be about overprotective parents, and she was like, "Me?" And I was like, but then she was like, "Yeah, I was a helicopter mom," and it's funny because I didn't know they knew that term back then.
I know what that is.
The helicopter parent is like how you hover over somebody. Like I
Yeah.
feel,
She was like that with me, not Logan. She was like that with me.
uh,
She was much more relaxed
ooh,
with Logan than
that's a
she
good
was with
that's
me.
a good kind of segue into the relationship, not with you and Logan, because I feel like that it's actually I don't know. I feel like it's really good. You guys have a great relationship, but growing up with a very younger sister, did you get different treatment?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. I don't even know why I'm asking because I know the answer
Well,
because it's Dennis's.
it's different. Like I feel like it goes both ways because my little sister always thought the opposite because
Really?
well I was a mama's boy and I was my mom's firstborn. So my mom has never been somebody to favor one kid over the other, but I was her firstborn, so we always had like a special bond where Dennis obviously treated Logan different because that was his
Real.
blood.
Yeah.
Where that was my stepdad, that's his actual daughter. So,
Wait a minute, y'all are half,
yeah.
dude.
So is my other sister.
You know what's funny? I just realized that. Like, I don't know why, because that's how me and Chad are, and supposedly he's coming on the podcast. I get to talk to him about a lot of stuff. I want to see his raising, and because he's 20 years older than me.
Yeah.
Um, And that's so funny to think. Like, I don't really have a relationship with my brother like a brother. It's more of a, I guess it could be like an uncle.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like an uncle. But with you guys, that's your, you guys, you feel like, oh, that's my sister. There's nothing half about it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I think I've also had a very 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 special bond with, because I have two sisters. But I have a very close and special bond with my sister Logan, because I felt like she was the only other person to go through what I went through, and where I think Dennis treated me, at least when we were younger. When we were younger, I was treated much different because I wasn't his kid. Um, where I feel like she went through a lot of what I went through when I finally went out on my own. And when I was on my own and she was the only one there that was left, I feel like she then
Mm.
experienced what I went through, which always kind of made me feel guilty because I felt like I was her big brother and I
Okay, yeah.
wasn't there to protect her anymore. And that was always tough. But
You let her know that
same
though.
thing with my mom. Like, there was, again, without getting to like certain situations and isolated incidents, there was plenty of times that I thought for sure that my mom and him were going to separate no matter what happened. She always stuck with him, so I just finally accepted it just wasn't going to happen. um so I knew, but I also knew that if my mom was never going to leave him, that I had to get myself out of that situation, and
Yeah.
I couldn't make my mom leave that situation, and I couldn't allow me to hinder my growth because of a decision she made. And then also with my sister,
Yeah.
my sister knew no matter where, it doesn't matter if I'm where I live, if what kind of house I'm in, where I'm at, if whatever the case may be, she could always
Call you.
stay with me, live with me, whatever it comes down to. She always knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're close for
And
sure.
you know what's funny? Because if you guys don't know, I have a little sister. She's 3 years younger than me. Man, we fought so much, and I mean, and even my friends, they see my dad treating her a little different than me, maybe a lot of different, and I could see it. There's certain things that she would get away with or she would done, and dude, I was like the angel, and I would, like, it just didn't make sense. But our relationship back when we were growing up together, just arguing all the time. Didn't really have that brother sister bond. Um, and honestly, today when we hang out, if it's like too long, she gets mean. I don't know if I don't think there's been any incidents where you guys seen it, but recently we went to Oklahoma, and I was trying to help her with a phone call, and she just, like, if I do anything parental, she's just like comes at me, bro. Like, it's bad. And she's apologized since. And even I told you, Bella mentioned it to me, like, hey, I don't like how Aunt Megan's treating you, like, talking to you. And I was like, nah, it's just
Yeah,
how we
talk
are.
about that a little more with like your dad. Do you think there was
Dahlia
conflict?
Smith, not Garcia,
Oh yeah.
said,
Because like one thing I
breaks my
noticed,
heart.
because
I
like
wish
I
I
thought
had my
about,
brother to fight with.
yeah,
I know, I 100%. Uh,
that's true, but
I know it would see it would be so weird because me and my sister, we don't have a relationship together, but honestly, she called me, like, she needed a place to stay a while back, and she was in some trouble, and I literally went to the house where she was at, grabbed her stuff, took her and put her in my apartment, that, or yeah, my studio where I was living.
yeah, but you've always been there when she's needed you, despite the relationship you've had with
A
her.
hundred percent, and it's like that now because I'm not trying to fight with her. I'm not trying to do anything with her. It's just her mindset of how we were when we were younger, and she's never gotten over that for me, I don't think. But she did, like, she's apologized and she's sorry about all this stuff now.
But the reason I brought that up with your dad is because, like, again, I've known you since we were kids, and I remember growing up, I always felt like he treated your sister different. But then, as I grew older, I even thought about this the other day when I had saw your dad for the first time, when he had came back,
Oh
like he
yeah.
came to my apartment. I saw him for the first time, and I was thinking about that a little bit more. And the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't know if it was necessarily that he was treating you different than your sister, or if he was just treating her different because of the fact that that's his daughter. And the reason I say that is because, like, I mean, I haven't had that experience with a boy, but I'm sure as a boy, I could relate to my experience of being a man
Yeah.
with a parent to being a father to girls. And I think, like, at least the relationship I had with my parents is nowhere near the same
You
relationship
have
that
with
I
your
have
girls.
with my daughters.
See.
Like, and the reason I say
Mhm.
that is like my I adore my girls, and like
Yeah.
I like every second I can, like Dahlia knows, like they've I always see my kids, I see them all the time, and sometimes I'll just look right at them and just give them a hug, and they'll get annoyed with me. They don't
Yeah.
want me touching them anymore, and I'll just sit there and hug them because I just, I love them, and that's how I express that. And I just feel like that would just it wouldn't, like, it's like, as a man I'm supposed to treat, my son like he needs to be a man, so I probably
Yeah.
won't do those types of things as much.
You will.
So but I don't, but
I
you
hope.
don't know
I
that.
hope you guys try. Well,
But the reason I bring that up is because, I mean, no matter what, if I have a kid, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl, I'm
yeah.
gonna treat them as my kid and
But
love
I
them
see. I know
regardless.
you're saying.
But I think how I show my love or express my love or my way of emotion would certainly be different for a daughter than a son. And I could see how, like, because as a kid you look at, like, sometimes you perceive love in one way, like you may perceive love as like affection, hugging,
Yeah.
like, acknowledgement of certain things, where like love from your father, he may have never questioned whether or not he loved you. It's just he may have not done the same things because, again, like, he has to be that father figure to a man to grow you into a man.
Yeah.
So I wondered about that a little bit too, to where, because I kind of saw firsthand where there definitely was a difference.
But my
But do you
dad
think it
always.
was?
He was the type where he would give me hugs. He would kiss me on the cheek and give me
So you don't think
hugs
that
and
was it?
I love yous and no, because it's funny because he grew up and it was my grandfather. He questioned if he loved him because my grandfather never said I love you to him.
Your dad questioned your grandfather?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my grandfather never said I love you to my dad, and he's told me the story where he questioned it. He didn't know, and then he never said, Dustin, your grandfather never told me he loved me, like one time I think,
Wow.
and I was like, man, and it's crazy. We say it a couple times a day,
Exactly.
like when we, and
Absolutely.
I think him being my role model when I was younger, growing up with him and my grandparents, seeing that, doing that every day, and seeing how he took care of us, especially how he took care of us, it molded me into the man I am today. And with Jason, my son, in the beginning, well, there's a little bit of favoritism because Bella's the girl, and I can see where I was like thinking about when you were talking about it. I can notice where yeah, I have a different type of love and for the firstborn and the girl. But with Jason, he'll come right up to me. I'll give him a hug, kiss on the cheek, and just a certain thing he does. It's a different feeling of love. It's still the same love like feeling, but it is definitely had to grow, and it's because of my situation with Casey and everything. Um, there was a point when he was born where I felt resentment.
Yeah.
So I would look at him and see resentment, but that switched.
But that wasn't because of him. That was because of the circumstances.
Yeah. That was the circumstances, and that was my mindset. So I never really that messed with me for a while, but definitely got over that. And there is still a girl love and a man like boy love. I had to be tough with him, but I still will give him a hug, give him a kiss. With Bella, I feel like now I'm tough with both of them the same way, and uh, but I do see especially some favoritism. You can ask anybody; they probably seen it, and I know.
I definitely think you're tough around Jason.
But I
At least
think
from what I've seen.
and I think that might be because he's a boy, and I'm like, and I know me being a boy, I could take it. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's hard, but
That's my whole point. That's my
But
whole point.
that's what I was getting
is
to. You're right
that
because you're talking about my dad. That was I was gonna circle around. So my dad, I think my dad did that because how I am with my kids. I can understand now how he was with Megan, and it don't really bother me. Uh, I never thought for a second that he loved her more or anything.
Mhm.
It was, oh, she can do this and not get in trouble, but if I did that, I got in trouble. But I also think he held me to a higher standard, knowing.
Definitely how it was with me and Logan. I don't think Logan ever got grounded ever in her entire life. And I swear on everything, I could talk back. I could just talk back to my mom, and I was grounded for 2 weeks. Granted, one thing I would say is anytime I was grounded, I always got off of punishment quicker than what was intended. But I was grounded a lot. And
Yeah.
and the difference is like a girl, like, I'm not gonna say it's easier to be grounded or punished as a boy or a girl, but I think the things that we enjoy as a boy or a girl, when taken away, hold more weight. At least for me as a boy, and the reason I say that is, I guess it really comes down to what you like, because a girl could like those things too. But like for me as a kid, I was a gamer, so it was very easy to punish me if you took my games away.
Yeah,
But
100%.
but my little sister, she didn't care about things like that. So like to me, even when I was a gamer, like if I wanted to go out and hang out with you, like unless I was really grounded, that was still an option for me.
Yeah.
But for like Logan, for
Jesus
example,
Cortez
there was really nothing
said,
you could immediately
"You
take
were a
away
bad
from
boy,
her for
Gage."
her to feel punished. What happened? What did he say?
He said you're a bad boy, Gage.
Oh,
You were a bad boy.
Nah, I mean, as a kid, as like a young kid, I was a good kid. I would say
Wait.
no. It was when I got into my teens I became a little reckless.
I want to say we were 11 or 12. I really don't remember this time frame, but this kid wants to bring out a throwing star, and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead. We could throw it on the wall."
It was my wall.
Bro, the whole side of the wall was done. Dunzo. Holes in it from throwing stars
Yeah, but
for like an hour. And then his mom came in and was about to kill
yeah,
both
but
of
you
us.
have to explain the story a little better. So
It was.
it's we're talking. So first of all, in high school, this was at that stage where, like, it was like cool if you had like a badass pocket knife or something like that. I remember like at that age I had gotten like a butterfly knife, and I thought I was cool as shit for having a
Those
butterfly
things are
knife.
dope.
So we definitely weren't 12, because I think I was like it was middle school stage for sure. So I was at least 14 or 15, because I knew it was when I knew BJ.
What were we thinking?
So I remember going to I went to the flea market, and I remember when I was at the flea market, I was looking for a new knife, and I saw the throwing star, and I've always had this like weird obsession with like
Ninjas.
Japanese art and ninjas. Like I was a ninja probably like 9 times for Halloween as a kid.
For real.
Even to this day, like my gamer tag is Shinobi.
Oh yeah, true.
And like and stuff like that. Like I've just always like that kind of stuff. So I got one of those throwing stars, and then for whatever reason, at the time, it didn't seem like it was gonna be a big deal, because in my head I only thought I was gonna do it like 2-3 times, and I was like, I'm gonna throw it into the wall, and I didn't really think about the damage it was gonna cause to the wall of my house, or my bedroom of my house, and I just
In
kept
that
throwing
situation, it was a tree, and we were practicing.
Well, but when I got home, I started throwing it into the wall, and at the first couple times, I was like, "Oh, she won't even notice that." Talking about my mom, then I just kept wanting to do it because it was fun, and then those 2 or 3 holes turned into like 10, 20, and then before you know it, I had friends over to all get a chance to throw the throwing star at the wall, and this entire wall was covered in holes. But then I got to a point where I was like, I'm already in too deep, so I might as well go all out. So, and then I remember she was so pissed, and she made me go get, what was it, spackle and like
you.
drywall, yeah, and we had to go fix the drywall of the room, yeah.
And for a long time, it just stayed white, I believe.
Yeah.
The blue paint, right? I think.
Yeah,
it's blue.
it was some kind of crazy paint that
Bro,
she used. Yeah,
that
didn't
was
really,
funny.
that was not a well thought
That was
out room.
funny.
What did Jesus say?
Funny memory. You were a bad boy.
Oh, that was the bad boy thing.
Yeah, but yeah. So, honestly, I think that might be it. We got about 10 more minutes.
No other question there?
No.
Let's do one more question.
Oh, it's gotta be a good one.
Pick a juicy one.
You know what your just off the top of your head? Do you know what your love languages are?
I hate that you brought that up right now with Dahlia watching this.
She
knows what hers are. I know what mine is, but she always reminds me of what hers is.
Was it
Dahlia's is gift giving.
Okay.
And then mine is like some kind of form of, I can't remember how they word it, but it
Was
was
it physical touch?
well, let me just tell you, it was some kind of form of like recognition,
Jesus Cortez,
like acknowledged or
said,
feeling like I've
no
moved
waxing
something.
tonight?
No waxing. I don't know. You gotta ask him.
Nah,
He said he's not doing it.
nah. When we don't get a full stream and we get a 15, 20 minute delay after starting the stream, after sitting 20, 30 minutes in the parking lot, we don't get a waxing. He'll do a waxing for you though.
Nah. We're good. Actually, I do got something.
Dahlia Smith, not
We're gonna
Garcia,
do
said,
just
words of affirmation.
maybe some questions.
Yes, she had a Dahlia
Words of there we
words of
go.
affirmation. I don't need a. I just like to feel like acknowledged.
Oh, this
I
is a
don't
good
need
one.
anything, but I like to feel.
Dahlia
You can
Smith,
ask me a
not
question and
Garcia,
cut me off and ask me another
Sorry,
question.
said,
sorry, but this is a good one. Go
that's
ahead.
yours,
No, go
Gage.
ahead. You got a good question to ask.
No. It was me blurting out. I want you to finish. Love of wait. Words of affirmation, and that's your main one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hers is gift giving. Um, I think I'm with you. I like to be told that what is going like, hey, you're doing an awesome job. I love you. Stuff like that. But
I mean, it applies to everything I do, not just relationships, but like even with work.
yeah,
Like some people like always say that they don't care about trophies and awards; they care more just about money. And obviously, I work for money, but I'm a sucker for a little trophy. Like I'm
heck yeah.
super competitive.
Would you say
To
that's a gift though?
gift? No, but mine isn't gift giving. Mine is words of affirmation. But it's not just words of affirmation for me; it's recognition. So like to me, I'm extremely competitive, and something as simple as a trophy or a piece of paper to like remind me of what I've done. The reason I take that so serious is because we always have our ups and downs, and whenever I have like a down, I always remind myself what I've done to help
Yeah,
pick me back up. And something like a trophy or a certificate can do that.
bro. The words,
So,
it's a
and
good one.
that's afterwards. But again, that's how I would apply it to even work. But in a relationship, like and I'm not talking about for like little things, but and I know I don't. It's not like, and it's funny because it's like one of those things that you expect but you don't do, and I know that I'm not doing it anymore. It's not like I'm sitting there telling her how grateful I am for everything as much as I am. Sometimes we just take it for granted. We think it's a given, but obviously I am. But like for me, like sometimes I'll
Yeah,
do, like I'm not talking about the cliche where like as a man I take out the trash and I want her to acknowledge that I took out the trash. Like it's not like that. Like I'm talking about if I feel like I put in like a really crazy stressful week of work and I did like 50, 60 hours and I'm just worn out, beat up, and I did whatever I needed to do to drain myself and sacrifice what I know I could have done with my time to do things for my family.
yeah.
Like for me, like I feel like I would like that to be recognized. I don't need anything for it. But that's just how I am. And again, just like in general, like I don't do I wouldn't say I necessarily do those for that reason, but it makes me feel good to to be acknowledged. I don't necessarily need something in return, but just for it to be acknowledged.
Yeah. Um, I love the words of affirmation. What is it?
Affirmation.
Affirmation. God, the words of affirmation is a big one for me. I love giving gifts. I forget if that was one, but definitely reassurance that things are good. I think that was a big one when I was in a relationship, and that was what I was lacking. Honestly, like I feel like well, there's a like lacking, but like you said, I'm not gonna go into that right now. But this this jaw dropping question, I thought we could a good segue here would be the top three ways you like to deal with stress. I know it is stress with you is very hard, and would like to know the ways that you come to terms now to deal with it.
It's almost scary to even say this at 30 years old that I couldn't tell you because I think to this day I don't know how to deal with stress. And I feel like stress is always, I mean, I know everybody gets stressed out. Stress plays a big role in everybody's life, but I have a tendency to create stress out of nowhere. Like I could be stressed about, to give you an example, I can go from these sides of the extreme to being stressed about, you know, how much am I like I was talking to Mike earlier today about getting a house next year, and I'm like, you know what, I've got my credit in a good spot, I've rebounded from COVID, you know, I got my little one on the way, we basically, you know, my, you know, everything is good at home. And I think it's time for me to take that plunge, but then the stress of knowing that now the housing market is like getting crazy high, and what's going to happen if I don't pull this trigger soon, like the stress of that, of knowing that it wasn't even a financial reason that I haven't done that already. It was that I know that I'm impulsive. Like when I bought my Infinity, when I bought the car, like one of the biggest things for me is I really bought that car just off out of a whim, off of impulse. Hold on one second.
Hold on, guys. What's up? What, is she sleeping? We'll go out and just hang out with her. We're almost done. You want? Wait, you don't need to play. Just watch the movie. Oh, here. How about this? Technology. And he's so happy.
Jesus Cortez said,
Say hi.
great question with an honest answer. I digs it.
Here, Bob. Love you. Close the door. Hi. Say bye.
What was the question again, though?
Let me read what he said. Real quick. Great question. And with an honest
Jesus Cortez
Love you too, buddy.
said, hey Jay,
What was the question?
Um, the how you deal with stress. And
Oh
the,
yeah.
Honestly, that, and you think,
But let me explain why. So like with me with stress, like when I was explaining like the extremes, like I could go from stressing about, because obviously something like, you know, big with a house, that's an extreme thing, that's an understandable reason to be stressed out. But let's say I've taken that step, I've got my house, that is no longer a stress, then I could all of a sudden start get bent out of shape, stressed out because my, you know, the way that my room is organized, it's not organized enough to where I'd like it, or I don't have the, like I'm already thinking of the next type of furniture I want in my house, and I'm stressed out because I don't have it yet and it's going to take a little while before I get
really?
it. I have a tendency of creating stress no matter what the circumstances are, to like even establishing insecurities with, that's why I never danced. You know, I always would stress out too much about what people would think, and I would create stress at times that there was really no reason for it. And that's
Yeah.
been a problem of mine since I was a kid. And I'm sure there's a lot of factors that go into it, but I would say that that's always been a problem of mine. And I think that the closest I ever got to dealing with it was when I got into bodybuilding. And when I got into bodybuilding, I really like, I generally to this day feel like bodybuilding saved my life. But
Remember, sorry, I'm not trying to sidetrack, and I agree with you. The one thing I just remembered because it's making me laugh is when we had the phone uh roasting battle, and I was at work. You called me, and literally I just remember something you said about, actually I pulled it up and showed um Brian today, and you made fun of my nose, and it just made me. I just remembered it and made me laugh. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but with going back to you and that stress about the furniture. One, never knew that. Like, I didn't think anybody could be stressed about like thinking about getting furniture. You know what I mean?
I'm talking. That was just an example. I'm talking about. I just create stress in general out of anything. But and what I was trying to say is
My bad.
the closest that I ever got to being able to deal with my stress was with bodybuilding, and with bodybuilding, I felt like it was at that stage in my life. It was a way I dealt with aggression and stress, and like for me, it was like I would go out of my way to think about what stressed me out and what made me upset, what made me angry, and then I would just work out, and it was like an immediate release. So it was like I would make it a point to think about those things, then it was an immediate release. and I felt like I had that. And then when I was at that stage in my life, not only did I feel healthy, but that was the least stressed I ever felt because I felt like I had may have not been the best crutch, but I felt like my quality of life was at its best then. Not only again because I was healthy, but because I had some kind of a, I don't know if it was just because I had an out or what.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've always ventured to, and I think the reason is because I've always kind of turned to games to deal with stress because it gave me like I don't know how to put it, like a virtual way of dealing with my problems or not having to deal, and that's why I played role playing games. Like I've always played like
Yeah, you put yourself on a
like
pick a pennant
from
and go to them.
it could go to like we're talking like Elder Scrolls, RuneScape,
Yeah,
Diablo, like any game where you can invest a lot of time and energy into creating like a virtual character and customizing them and building them. And I felt like it was I would invest more time into that and working towards something
Jesus
as
Cortez,
like an out to deal with
said,
my stress. And
Guild
but the
Wars.
thing is that yeah, in Guild Wars.
Wars.
But yeah, for years and years. But ironically enough, I did with that as a coping mechanism, but it never released my stress. It was just the what I did to deal with it, but it never gave me the release that I got in bodybuilding. And now I feel like if anything, I maybe do a better job of just dealing with my stress. Like it not gonna say like overcoming it. I just acknowledge that it's there and try to find game plans and solutions to reduce it. But I definitely wouldn't say that I have even one of those three ways to deal with stress.
So, cause and correct me if I'm wrong. You did ask me at one point, just like, how do I deal with my stress? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That was you. Um, and I mean the craziest thing, I can't really give you an answer because I don't I just think I'm at a time where I just don't. I mean, it's stressful. Like and when things get too stressful, maybe I know I have a crutch. Like with money, for the longest time, I was going to my dad, and I know if someone was too, I didn't have money this week. Oh, I could always ask my dad. But now,
But even like that as an example, like the difference in the like and how I'm saying like I would measure my stress different is like for that for example, like if you felt like there was a situation that would require you to ask for help from your dad, if I was in a situation like
PSP
that, I would feel like my
5167,
world is crashing
said,
down, that if I have to
big
ask for
fan.
money, that that person is going to look at me as being less of them because I need their help or like
oh,
so and like again I would create stress at a situation so then I would freak out of thinking well like what Brian said like he had that fear of what happens if he just runs out of money because I've got and that
yeah,
opened my eyes when I hit COVID because I was like I was making the most money I ever made great money, had a great job, and something
COVID.
happened out of nowhere to where it just came down to a point to where that goose egg that I built, when was it going to run dry? And then, I had established that side hustle that we could save for another time, and that's how I kind of, made a living. But ultimately, I still had stress. I just dealt with it and found a way to deal with it because I think that was more of a survival instinct, knowing that I've got kids. But I feel like where I didn't understand and like what I struggle with is the reason I had, and I guess it's a blessing and a curse. Like the blessing to that is I felt like I had to do something to make sure that my kids and my wife were good, which is why that side hustle worked.
Yeah.
I felt because I had so much belief in the fact that it wasn't a matter of me wanting it to work, it had to work, or I was screwed. So I felt like I didn't want to go live with my in-laws. I didn't want them, and I know they would, and I know my in-laws are amazing. They wouldn't even bat an eye to me having to do that. But
Yeah,
me
they're awesome.
having the stress of feeling like that could be a possibility was like, uh, to me, even though I'm sure everybody would agree that that's a big deal to do that, to me, I perceive that as a much bigger deal to do that. And like to even feel like I've got to ask somebody for money, like I feel like that something as simple as that stresses me out so much to where like if like and just not like that specifically but just as an example like if you ran into
Yeah.
something like that, how do you deal with that is different to where you're not feeling like the world is crashing down or
Well, where do you think that comes from?
I mean, I think I feel like I have more pressure. Just I think it's different because mainly because I have kids and a wife. Because I remember for quite a few years where I was living off ramen noodles and those Czech sodas when I lived in my dad's guest house.
Yeah.
And I didn't have money. And I lived in the second floor of a guest house where I had a microwave in arm's reach of my bed. I had a closet that I couldn't even put clothes in because it wasn't usable. There was like a rat hole in there.
Yeah.
There was bats in the chimney. I had a window that didn't close, so squirrels would come in there. And I was basically living in like a vacant guest house. And the first floor was like all storage, and then I had my clothes inside of a suitcase. So like, and even at that stage of my life, like I felt like I didn't have the stress of, well, if I lose my job, who cares? You know, I've already been at the bottom, so it doesn't, like, I didn't have that fear then. But then having kids, that is where that overwhelming sense of fear of, even though knowing I'd probably have a family member or somebody to fall back on, like, I that is probably my biggest fear, is failing as a provider. Because, and I told Dolly this the other day, because I feel like, and you know this more than anybody, I've always, and I have no problem sharing it on stream, I've always had massive insecurities with, like, always being worried about what other people think. And I,
Nipples.
yeah, whatever. And the reason that I bring that up, and like why I bring my job up like a lot, and why I feel like I carry so much stress and burden, is because the one of the I always never felt like I fit in, even with friends, like even like what I told you, like with Brian and
Yeah.
Mike and Hassel and Stevie, like I felt like, well, Brian, Hassel, and Stevie were brothers, and Mike was their neighbor, so obviously they came as like a package deal. And then you already knew them all, so like I was intimidated by the fact that I felt like I didn't fit in because you guys were all like good at sports at the time. I wasn't quite at that stage yet. And then I always felt like that's why I was always competitive, because I always
Bitch, you
felt
never
like,
got good at sports.
okay,
What sports
yeah,
did you play?
that's okay, boy,
Ran through you on the football field.
yeah, that's a damn lie. That is a damn lie. And
Yeah,
in
I did. I just
and
remember we played together.
and
That's
in
funny.
soccer, I did very well at soccer.
You know,
And
I wish I would have
but
came
let me
to a soccer
so
game.
but the reason I say this is like I grew these insecurities because I feel like with everything that I did, like even with girls in school, I felt like that just I never fit in with anything, even friends that I had. Like even Dustin was my best friend at the time, and he spent all of his time with our other friends. So like at that stage in my life, like I felt like I never fit in, so that when I had a good job and I found something that I was truly good at, like I embraced that and held on to it, because I was like, this is the first time that I feel like I'm truly good at something, and I feel like I fit in. So I've held on to that so much and I've gotten good at that, but I think that's why I have the fear of not just feeling like a failure in terms of being a provider, but also at the same time it simultaneously will destroy my confidence, because not only will I not feel like a provider, but then I feel like I'm failing at the one thing that makes me feel like I fit in, that I'm good at, because I'm like, I feel like I am good at my job. Like what my work entails, and the reason I've found success and made good money is because I feel like I'm good at it, but it's the one thing that I feel like I carry and that I hold, and that if it's gone, that I don't feel like I guess fit in anymore. So I feel like that's why I carry a lot of stress too, is, and a lot of it is always related to work, to where I have that fear of, if I'm not on my P's and Q's, making the most money, making the best money even without COVID, that what happens if I'm not looked at that way anymore, or what happens if I don't make that kind of money anymore, and the kids can't. I want to make sure the kids have everything that they ever want. That Dahlia never has to worry about money. That she never has to work a day in her life. Like all of those things, weigh down on pressure, to where like, what happens if I just can't handle it anymore?
It's crazy too because, just kind of not to co-sign, but to go off of her not like you working so hard so she doesn't have to work. In this day and age, it's so crazy because that was the norm. What 30? 50 years ago? About that's 70s, maybe what in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe. There was a housewife, and it was just one income. Like the man did the income, but now you see both parties working, and you kind of think it has to be done unless you get lucky with like your job and like your way of going up the ladder, and because I know right now, uh, like to be in the house and the stuff that you've been in, I would have to budget so hard to get maybe an apartment, and probably not even a good apartment, but without that extra income. And I know it has to be hard and maybe stressful a little bit as well without that extra income. But that's one thing that I admire by you is your determination to keep that. One of the things that always has happening, even though I know it could stress you out, or it does stress you out, um, but you keep doing it every day for the years that we've been uh, friends. That's one of the things I'm proud of you, uh, and just your work ethic. I know, dude, I had one question. It slipped my mind, but I know you have to get out of here pretty soon, or about 20 minutes. I think we about 20 minutes. So next 10 minutes, and then for the last 10 minutes of the podcast, we're playing this game, and you're gonna, bro. It's so annoying, but you'll see why. Um, God, this thing. There was. Oh my God, I had a perfect question. I don't know if I read it on here or, um.
A little shorter.
Yeah, I read it. I want to say, honestly, was it?
Jesus Cortez said, honest answer. We all just try our best to cope with our stress and anxieties.
True.
Dahlia Smith, not Garcia, said, I have a job, it's taking care of the kids' hugging face.
Obviously.
Yes, but that's.
But Dustin obviously doesn't mean that either. It's the
I'm not saying you don't have a
comparisons
job.
to, like the 50s and the 60s are really more or less the difference of like, and when we say a job, it's more of like when
An
we're
income.
referring to an income, like a financial job. But the reason that I've also made that commitment is not just because, I, and obviously I do love you a lot, but it's not obviously because I love you so much that I want you to just not work because it sucks. It's because I know that that's what it takes for you to have the time necessary to raise my kids, and I don't want anybody else doing that. Like I could easily just say, well, forget it. You just go get another job, and then we'll just take a
Daycare.
cut out of that income and do daycare. That's always an option, but I don't want that to be an option unless it absolutely has to. So that's why I don't do that, because you are a great mother. And you don't need me to say that on stream or me to say that in person. You know that, but I think that's the point. Is like, even when we're like, I'm talking about something like that, or we're talking about something like that, I don't think it comes down to like, I think a job could be lumped up into a lot of things where things can feel like work, so it feels like a job. But when I'm referring to a job, I'm talking about something that you get directly compensated for in terms of, like money, income, like things that are going to, again, alleviate the whole cause of what I'm saying is stressing me out, which is finances. Because as a kid or somebody who can be dependent, you don't have that pressure and that fear. But as an adult, because as a kid, you don't have to go to work, and you could still go stay with mom or stay with dad, go to their house and do your laundry. But as an adult, if you don't go to work, nobody's going to pay your bills for you. If you don't do your laundry's not going to get done. If you don't clean your dishes don't get cleaned. Like you have to do those things, and it's not enjoyable or fun. But that's why a marriage is two people working together, because I don't have enough time in the day to do all those things, which is why we have I'm not going to sit here and say everything is perfect, but I think we've found a healthy balance of, okay, I have the ability to do this and that, but sure, even though I do this and that, I could still help out with this and this. And even though you got your hands full with the kids and you're already doing this and that, then when I'm not available, you could help out with this or this. Like we've come to mutual agreements. We've thought about it. We've grown through it. But that's the thing is like I definitely see it as a job in terms of it being just as demanding as something that I'm getting compensated for.
Yeah.
But in terms of relieving financial stress, that's, I think, again, what You know, the whole
and
point was.
I'm not trying to, and I was never going to say or attack you in the same like, hey, you need to get a job. I was just saying for the financial aspect, because I know 100% taking care of kids is a full on day to day in job. These kids got me crazy, and I would, and it's funny because, and you guys like parents relate. You always think you're not doing enough for the kids or doing like you could do more. But I come to sit back and I get like some people telling me like, Dustin, you're doing a great job. And I've told I forget who it was, maybe last podcast I think I brought it up where Michael actually messaged me one day and just said, hey, you're doing your shit that you need to do. Like you're doing a good job. These kids are getting fed, taken care of. Um, but I was gonna roll off of the dishes and the laundry thing. It's funny that it took me, and I think I might have brought it up last podcast as well with Brian and them. My take. My mom was not in the picture since I was like 7 or 8. She's in the picture. She was like we would visit her ever so often. She lives in North Carolina. She would visit here. Sometimes she would move back down and she was up there again, and she wasn't um, easily available. And I didn't. I typically lived with my dad my whole life, and doing that, he tried to teach me, I guess. Like I did my laundry, I like dishes. I think we had like growing up, and this is gonna sound like weird and like I'm rich and shit, but my grandfather paid uh, my aunt to take care of him and do the like chores in the house for everybody, and then that kind of like the dishes she would just do. But also my dad would tell me to do the dishes. I remember one time because I was freaked out. I didn't like touching shit with my hands. I thought it was gross. I had like a big phobia where I like spaghetti. One day he just told me, he said, Dustin, put your fucking hands in this and just grab like all the dirty shit and then wash your hands. And then after that, I was like, yeah, you're right. But even when we lived together, why the fuck did we not mention this before at all? But we lived together for a little bit. I think when I first moved out, that was my first apartment, I believe. But it was also with my kid's mom, which that's another story. Uh, to be honest, hopefully, and it might be next week where she's on the podcast, and we're talking about co-parenting. But um, like I know then dishes were not done. I don't think I like it took me until now moving in here to do the dishes, clean up little shit like it's just crazy. And I've told them multiple times like it's like guys, I don't take it as insults. I might laugh it off, but and honestly, I'm taking it in, I'm absorbing in the information, and I'm like, shit, okay, and I'm a better person for it, and I'm just glad, and now I can't wait to when I have my house or have a new apartment or wherever I get to, because I'm talking about getting a house too, but the market is fucked,
That's crazy.
and I could buy because I got approved for 200,000, and I'm looking at trailers because that's the only thing I can afford, and everything 250,000. I'm trying to bump it up to because I have the dog bite money and all that. But if I get 250,000 cleared, I might get a house. But then I'm gonna have to drop what 25,000 on it. Yeah, 20%.
But
And
have
I was like, bro,
you don't qualify for the first time home buyer thing or whatever?
I think that is what it is, and I get
The first time home buyer, usually you get like a grant or like a
oh, for the down payment, right?
for the down payment. Yeah.
I still got to look into because Brian did that with this, and he got, but they don't do that loan anymore. That certain loan that took care of that. So I got to talk to the real estate agent a little bit more, try to get some more.
They did.
I got to do a little bit more research because we looked it up and they stopped that one for him. So I got to see what I could do for the down payment, what I could and what I have to do. If I mean I don't want to have to wait until my next settlement to do that. I don't want to have to rent a house or rent a room or rent an apartment for 2 years. But if I have to, I'm gonna have to. And coming back to your mindset, I'm gonna have to get to that mindset because I feel like I'm so comfortable oh, I could fall on this person. I could fall on this person. I don't want to have to do that. I'm got what she told me today. I got like 5 months left, whatever, till December. I got to move out, so I'm getting everything ready. Credit's looking good. Still got to pay off a little bit of the credit card though, but whole bunch of stuff.
But a big thing I learned that I think helps with that too is as much as it sucks, we have a survival instinct for a reason. And I think sometimes you have to be, and it took me like literally having to go through this to learn it, that sometimes you have to, I mean, practice with everything. Like if you're put in a position to where you have to do something to survive, then it's a lot easier to deal with that when you run into it again. But if you have the ability to rely on somebody or depend on somebody, or just knowing that you have an out or a crutch, your survival instinct doesn't kick in. It's like knowing that, I could get hurt if somebody hits me, but I could immediately take medication or something to take the pain away, so I'm not concerned about it.
Yeah.
But if I know I'm not, it's like a perfect example is like, if you're, I mean, I'm not a woman, so it's probably a bad example, but if like I'm having a baby, I'm sure I'm going to be way more likely to deal with the pain if I have an epidural than I would without one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So you're saying it's easy to give birth? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I definitely know because I'm not putting one of those devices on.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if
Look,
we
I
had-
tried.
No, listen, I will say I'm not gonna be the only one doing it.
Oh no, I would
But
do it
if
with you.
we got like a couple of the boys here, maybe a drink or two in,
Would be
I'm just
fun.
not gonna be the only one. But if there's more people doing it, and as long as I know I'm not gonna get killed by putting this thing on,
Yeah,
because I'm not trying to electrocute myself either, I will try it.
I do have. So one last question, and then I have kind of like a trivia, but with a twist, and then we got
Dahlia Smith,
10
not
minutes for the
Garcia,
game.
said, do it.
Do it. I mean, I take donations. Cash App is in the. I'm just kidding. We need to purchase the device first, and then we can get into the thing. So, last time you cried and why?
Oh boy, that's I mean, we talked about it a little bit. I would say it was. I'm not ashamed about it. I'd say it was probably. Well, no, I'm just saying in general
Yeah, no.
speaking. Like some people don't like talking about that kind of stuff. I'd say it was probably when I got furloughed. When I got furloughed from my job because I cried and
Oh,
didn't
okay.
I didn't know what to do because and I felt like the reason it made me freak out is because I wasn't prepared for it and I didn't see it coming and I
Okay.
felt like I would have taken it on the chin more if I feel like I was let go or fired because of something that was my fault, but because it was something out of my control
Yeah, it's not fair.
and it not only caused me to lose my job, but it prevented me from being able to find another one. I just didn't know what to
Yeah.
do. It was like I felt like everything I was good
Helpless.
at was gone in a matter of seconds, and I just didn't know what to do. I was like, do I start over? I'm not gonna lie. I even thought about doing some dumb shit. Like but at the same time, and I remember telling Dahlia, like, obviously I wouldn't get, I mean, I would hope I wouldn't get to that stage, but I could tell you right now, I understand why
Walter White.
no, listen. I would understand why like a parent would do something stupid like rob a store or rob a bank.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
saying that I'm going to be the first one in line to go do this, but I understand why somebody would go through something crazy and to like an extreme to make sure their family is good.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to rob a store, and I'm not justifying it and condoning people telling you to go rob a store to make sure your kids
Gage
can eat,
said.
but I'm saying like I could understand or be a little bit more understanding to somebody that does something stupid out of a survival instinct for their kids than to go do it because they want to get their next fix or something like that. Like
Yeah.
I understood why because I got to that thought and you can't really say one way or another until you've been in that position where you've had to think like that.
Yeah.
And I think at that stage of my life, I wasn't immediately going that way, but I was like, well, what do I do when my money runs out? What happens if I can't get another job? Like, I'm not gonna let my kids go through what I went through. Like, I don't like. What do I do? How do I get money quick? Like, what could I like? And then you start considering a lot of things,
Yeah.
and that's where your moral compass has to kick in.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was broken down. I was in tears and I cried constantly. But then I also realized that my wife was going through that with me and she was going through it too. And I felt it took me realizing that at the beginning I was acting like I was the only one that was getting furloughed and going through COVID, not realizing that as much as my wife wasn't the one punching in and out for work, like she was going through that with me. Her lifestyle changed too.
Yeah.
She couldn't do things like we were. I mean, we would go to Disney. Like she was able to go to Disney like once, twice a week. Like it was.
I remember.
It was like that. Like I didn't care. And I was happy with that, even though I was still working when she was doing it, because I wanted my kids to experience that. And if I can't do it with them, I'd rather she do it.
Yeah.
And her quality of life changed. My kids' quality of life changed. And I felt like everything was crashing down. But again, that's where my survival instinct kicked in. And I figured out, all right, I cried, I got it out. Now it's time to either do something about it or I can just use this as a reason for justifying why I'm now in a shitty situation. And the only thing that'll happen is people will understand. They'll be like, well, damn, Gage, you were dealt the wrong cards. Like I could see why you're in this position because that makes sense and that really sucks. Like I'm sure everybody would understand why I'd be at rock bottom, but I didn't want to be at rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to accept that, so I had to do something. And again, that's where my survival instinct kicked in. And despite COVID, I chose something, I did something, and I just didn't see no as an option. But that was the last time I cried was honestly then.
And I can't remember. I mean, any Disney movie, and I'm tearing up.
Oh God.
I don't know. I mean, that would be technically the last time.
I don't think a Disney movie's ever made me cry.
What?
No, never.
Encanto?
No.
That shit got me right
I mean,
there.
movies definitely will do that to me, but not a Disney movie. I don't think
You know
I've
your
seen a
mom.
Disney
Your
movie.
mom. She did. I need to talk
Whoa,
about.
whoa, hold on. Lion King. Sorry. When
Yeah,
Mufasa.
fuck
Yeah,
that.
I'm sorry. That was a tearjerker. I will accept that.
Bro.
Yeah, that was tough.
The one thing your mom wanted me to bring up was the shark incident. I know this was the last question.
Boy, that was traumatizing.
You know what? We're gonna save that. It was traumatizing. I know you're gonna be back on the podcast.
Yeah.
More than this one time.
We'll see.
We could be. This could be a. We'll see who the second guest is.
Maybe we could have somebody else on with me.
You know, I was thinking about Dahlia, but then I think that would be more like a relationship ish. But maybe one of the boys. And I was talking about. I told Jesus, I was like, hey man, maybe you should just stop by tonight. But
we do these too, where it's like everybody just does like a live, like you know what I mean. Like,
we would have to do. We could do that.
Like we could just
Yeah.
do that like when we can't do this.
But I definitely I told him to come by, but we all know that he's with his boyfriend Mike over. He won't come past Mike's house.
Who?
He won't Michael.
Who, Jesus?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He won't go past Mike's house. He'll go from his house to Mike and that's it. Coming over here? No, not even. And that's it. I was gonna give that to him.
I mean, I could count on one hand the amount of time he's come to my house.
And you live closer.
But
And you live closer.
I will say, when I was really, really sick, and I had like, I remember I don't think I think it came down to because I physically couldn't drive or something. I remember he went out of his way to drive and go pick whatever I needed up, bring it to me and everything.
Jesus
Just
Cortez
to hold it down for me.
said,
So I will give him a
unsubscribing.
free card for that.
He said unsubscribing.
Good
Good riddance.
thing I don't have a channel.
Nah, but he's a great friend. Did you
Yeah.
do you know what I got him for Christmas? I don't know if I told you. Well, it was
It was like a sword or
the
something.
Power Ranger thing.
Like
Dude.
a little Star Wars virtual.
Yeah. That's right. That was one of the things because the motherfucker's been letting me use his Netflix since we lived in that house, that apartment. So I said, let me spend a little bit of money on him. But
I gave you a card, and I think I got
next episode we can talk about that stuff. But do you think you can ask me a question? So this is it. We'll do like two questions. You have to make it up on the spot. I have a good question. I have one question for you I can think of. But
let's just do one for the sake of time.
okay, one question each. If you get it wrong,
Wait, what do you mean get it wrong? Is this a trivia question? Whoa. Hold
I
up.
gotta find it.
What are we about? I knew you had some dumb shit planned.
So if you get it wrong, you'll see what happens.
No fucking way.
Oh, my bad.
Bro, what the hell are you doing? What the hell is this? No shot. I don't play with being electrocuted.
It's just on the arm.
No,
it's not bad.
that's not doing that at all.
So you better get the question right.
I don't do. I promise you. I promise you right now, there won't be another podcast. I don't do that. I
What?
don't play with electricity.
It's not even bad, you baby.
We don't do that. No sir.
Well, let's see if you get the. Let's see if you get their answer.
I do the wax before I do that.
Okay, and then I'll do that. So maybe you have to get the answer right, and then you don't do anything.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna ask you a question about me, and you have to
If I get it wrong, I get waxed.
waxed or that, but you don't want to do that, so you'll do waxed, and then you.
Save it for the others.
No, we got to end it here. So Michael, I mean, I think it's easy. How old was I when I broke my arm? What? You broke your arm?
Yeah, I didn't know you. When did you break your arm? Boy, you didn't even know I had a heart attack. When the hell did you break your arm?
Well, tell me my age, and either waxed or shocked, and then you ask me a question.
No, because there's no way. I don't remember you breaking your arm. There's no way that would have been general knowledge for me. I don't remember you breaking your arm.
I mean, so it has to be something in our time frame, because I'm pretty sure I've told you I broke my arm before.
I mean, that could be like me asking you what how old was I when I had my first hair on my nuts? Like, you're not gonna know that.
I know that.
And I probably told you. How old was I?
7. Just kidding. I have no idea.
I don't either. I don't remember how old was I when I broke my arm?
And you broke your arm?
My hand, yeah. Before when we played, I would have given it away.
No, I know this.
That's not the question.
Ooh, that was the whole door incident.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
When I punched the door.
How old were we then? I would say, fuck. You should use that.
I can't believe you even thought I would do that. That's crazy.
Bro, it's not even that bad.
I would eat like a jalapeno or a habanero or some shit before that too. Yeah, I don't play with electricity. Yeah.
I'm scared. Why am I scared? It don't hurt.
Even if it doesn't hurt.
Yee! That scared me. I was 7 when I broke my arm, by the way.
I would have never guessed. I didn't have the slightest clue.
Damn. When? Damn. I don't have any questions now.
Like a spicy. I would have done the chip. I genuinely would have done the chip before that.
I have a chip.
I can get it. I'll do it. If you're gonna do it, I'll do it. I'm just not doing that.
Would you wax? I'll wax with you. Wax lower back or
Jesus Cortez
leg.
There was enough of that
said,
in the last one.
"No way Gage was going to do that."
He knows that. Thank you, Jesus.
Man, he's
Come on.
fine.
Boy, I swear to God, you would get cheap shotted for the first time in over a decade. Bro, I'm pretty sure I just almost broke your tabletop when you did that.
We got the wax strips. We could end it on a wax strip. You get one, I get the other. But you pick location, or we have chat pick, like last time. And you were the number one yelling for that inner. You said inner thigh.
Listen. It's funny
inner
though,
thigh.
you guys were like completely nude, probably against all the TOS in your box.
Nah, you're right. But no, we're not gonna do that.
all that.
We'll do
I got,
arm.
Whoa, I gotta go to work and shit, man.
Jesus
Oh,
Cortez
maybe not.
said,
Nah, fuck that.
"Gooch."
Gooch.
Good Lord. Oh my God, that would be an experience and a half.
All right. Well, I don't think we're gonna end it up on a wax strip because I don't think.
I thought the whole point was you do a question and then you get one, but it's got to be like a reasonable question.
I can't. Can you think of one right now? It's hard.
I will if it comes down to
It's
it.
hard to think of one. All right, think of one. I'll try to think of one. Next 5 minutes, and then we got 10 minutes on the game.
And hold up, because I have some hairy fucking.
Bro,
arms.
me too. I don't want to do my arm. I say we just don't do it.
Yeah, I don't, because do you realize I work in a call center, and I'm gonna have to explain to like 150 people why I have a giant patch on my arm.
But nah, I can't do that.
I tell you, you would have been better off to grabbing like a spicy chip.
No, I thought about the spicy chip, but you said you hurt your stomach. I didn't want
Well,
to.
no. I said I can't do like because I do have a weak stomach, but that's something like gross. Like drinking something like crazy nasty, I'll be
Yeah, I
throwing
can't
up
do that.
immediately. But if it's something spicy, I mean, like if we're talking like some like it's gonna put me in the hospital type spicy, then that's gonna completely demolish my stomach. But if we're talking like that hot chip challenge, I mean, I know that's still tough.
But
and
they're
rough,
also
but
they're also Brian's chips, and I don't have any. So, guys, stick around. We're gonna hit the old getting over it game real quick. I'm gonna have him play for like 5-10 minutes just to see if he can where he can end up in this crazy game, and then we'll end it there. But again, thank you for coming on. We talked for a while now, like almost 2.5 hours, three. No, it's 3 hours. No, two.
nah,
Wait, 10, 11, 12. Almost
Damn.
3, 2.5.
this was supposed to be cut short too.
Yeah, I was trying to cut it short, but we always say the same thing. It's like, damn, we're trying to cut it short, but we just can't stop talking. Like it just go in and in.
You just gotta accept that it's gonna be a 3 hour window.
Yeah, I think 3 hours is good. It gives us enough time, and then like I said, whenever you want to come back, just let me know, and then we'll get back into it. Again, thank you for coming on. You know I love you, and I appreciate you so much for being here. Anything you want to shout out to the people? I know this is the man. If you want some shoes, this is the man. We didn't get into it on this one.
No. I don't sell shoes anymore. I'm a collector now. I did
Those
that
are
for
all.
a while.
You
I don't
you
sell
just
shoes anymore.
really those are all your collections?
I mean, those are.
Did you sell off or no?
I sold off majority of my collection. I definitely still have shoes.
I need one of them boxes though.
But the ones that I still have are being held like long term because they're big pairs. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a rainy day to just sell it
Hold
off.
on.
But I'm not making a living off of
Choosing them. Yeah.
off of reselling.
No.
sneakers.
We told you too much. Next time you have to join us to know more about the craziness, which was the shoe gang back in that COVID time, and we can talk more about like what we went through when I was with my kids' mom, and because there was a time where, bitch, I never even saw you. So likewise, and you never saw me like during that time. So we have a lot of to talk about. So we just scratched the surface with this one. Stay tuned. I'm gonna log on to this game real quick and switch over to the game mode, and then get him situated with this chair so he can play this game for about 10 minutes. So literally, give me 1 minute so I can switch everything around real quick, and we'll be back up and running. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you like and comment more, subscribe, share to a friend, share on your Facebook. Let everybody know, like, hey, this is not that bad. This is kind of entertaining. And if you don't fuck with us, then don't share it. But thank you guys. Be right back.
I don't know why I'm talking so weird. Let's see. Hey, PSP5167, big fan. Thank you so much. Hopefully you subscribed and you will come back on the next one. Let's see. So we're playing Getting Over It. You don't know what this game is? You will surely find out.
Yeah, I had the effects on, but it's pretty cool. Listen to it real quick.
You just probably hold up to your ear. So this is the deep voice I always do. And I love, yeah, on the game. Bro, that's what I was going to talk to you about. We'll do a new game. This is your setup. All you do is with mouse to go. This is how you play. Well,
There's no feeling more intense than starting over. If you deleted your homework the day before it was due, as I have, or if you left your wallet at home and you have to go back after spending an hour in the commute. If you won some money at the casino and then put all your winnings on red but it came up black. If you got your best shirt dry cleaned before a wedding and then immediately dropped food on it. If you won an argument with a friend and then later discovered that they just returned to their original view. Starting over is harder than starting up. If you're not ready for that, like if you've already had a bad day, then what you're about to go through might be too much. Feel free to go away and come back. I'll be here. Alright, thanks for coming with me on this trip. I'll understand if you have to take a break at any point. Just find a safe place to stop and quit the game. And don't worry, I'll save your progress, always. Even your mistakes. This This game is a homage to a free game that came out in 2002 titled Sexy Hiking. The author of that game was Jazuo, a mysterious Czech designer who was known at the time as the father of B games. And B games are rough assemblages of found objects. Designers slap them together very quickly and freely, and they're often too rough and unfriendly to gain much of a following. They're built more for the joy of building them than as polished products. Oh, you just lost a lot of progress. That's a deep frustration, a real punch in the gut. In a certain way, Sexy Hiking is the perfect embodiment of a B game. It's built almost entirely out of found and recycled parts, and it's one of the most unusual and unfriendly games of its time. In it, your task is simply to drag yourself up a mountain with a hammer. That act of climbing, in the digital world or in real life, has certain essential properties that give the game its flavor. No amount of forward progress is guaranteed. Some cliffs are too sheer or too slippery, and the player is constantly, unremittingly in danger of falling and losing everything. Oof, sorry about that. Anyway, when you start sexy hiking, you're standing next to this dead tree that blocks the way to the entire rest of the game. It might take you an hour to get over that tree, and a lot of people never got past it. You prod and you poke at it, exploring the limits of your reach and your strength, trying to find a way up and over. And there's a sense of truth in that lack of compromise. Most obstacles in video game worlds are fake. You can be completely confident in your ability to get through them once you have the correct method